What is going on, YouTube world? He is Steve. I am Dave. The Insert Revolution podcast, episode number one. Getting going. This is one I know it's a topic that's our sponsor. Remember,
Can't forget the sponsor.
they're playing the Bills. They're not playing the Bills. That's the Titans tonight, but they're playing them. Obviously haven't paid the light bill down in Texas.
Kiss my ass, Dave. No. New laptop for work, that is. They finally forced me to go to Windows 10. And anytime I'm not plugged into power, it like goes into power save mode. So it's a little dark. But when I go back inside and plug it up into the power, the light will come on. We'll have an epiphany moment.
This episode, again, it's been, I'd say, beaten to death, but it's been beaten to death from the perspective of investors being bad in the hobby. You can only collect in the hobby. We'll go over some things, some of our opinions on this. We hope you watching out there will jump in, chime in with what you think too. But get anything this week? Anything in the mail?
Well, I did get something. I did get a package from Puff Bear. So I have that sitting in there to open on camera. Didn't get a chance to do it today, unfortunately. The one pickup, unfortunately, I had to file a claim with eBay. So I said to hell with it. Hadn't heard a response from the seller, any updates, anything along those lines. So I filed a claim with eBay after 10 days. So now it's in their hands, and I should hear something. If I don't hear something from the seller, I think by sometime tomorrow, I should get my money back from eBay. But, it is what it is.
You are, Mark. You are.
No, I was first.
Well, Steve was, but
I was really first. I beat Dave. I was in the waiting room waiting on Dave for the second week in a row.
it's a struggle. I see the time coming, and I'm like, fuck. I love doing this. It's just getting into it because again, the doldrums of the workday and walking around town.
Wow, I don't count. All right, Dave. Well, with that said, this is Bronco Steve signing off. Dave's leading the charge on this one.
Yeah, and the filing that claim too. It's not like it's a one of one, some like Fleer Ultra masterpiece or a flawless dual patch with Elway Auto.
All right, I'll take that.
So it's not like, again, it shouldn't happen either way, but at the same time, this isn't an ultra rare card where you never see it, that you have the instant like seller's remorse. Like let's say you sold a LeBron Topps Chrome PSA 10 last week for X amount. Now this week, because you won the title, won the fourth MVP, it's now at XXXX amount. No, this is a non serial number card where, again, there should not be any buyer's remorse. Or this, or whatever the reason is, this seller's being a dick. There's no justification at all. It's absolute bullshit on his part.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. It's one in which, I've watched countless times, not this specific listing. It's always been kind of on the watch list and one that, I wanted to get in the collection, because it'll reduce the number of needs from 95. But, it's one of those in which it was a fair price and it was actually for two of them. Not that I need two,
Mm-hmm.
but it was reasonable. There's a lot of people who still put those out there for too much. So
I think
yeah, I don't disagree with that statement.
YouTube audience.
Invest in, yes, there you go. Invest in what you love. So that's a different way to spin it,
Yeah.
and we're going to spin this topic of conversation quite a few ways. Uh, Hopefully, we'll get quite a bit of interaction tonight. You know, even though Dave said that this topic has been kind of beaten like a dead horse, it's still something that should be discussed because opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, but at the same time, there's different ways you can spin it. And it's we've touched on it here and there in past episodes. This will be the first episode that's really dedicated to it, and I'm more interested not in what Dave and I really have to say, honestly. uh, I'm hoping to see more interaction from you guys watching, because it puts things in a different perspective. Uh, and I have my beliefs, I have my opinions. Dave has his. Most of us that are here are pretty like-minded. That's why we're here, which is why we share that camaraderie and we consistently sync up every week and have these conversations. But at the same time, this is one of those that this episode will dictate really the interaction from you guys who are here watching, to really dictate what paths we take, and things along those lines. So
Yeah. What's up, Reeds? Yeah, you've seen for the past probably, well, basically since COVID really kicked into high gear here. Everyone that puts out a video on YouTube with any consistency, anyone that's on like an Instagram or any other social media platform. What's going on, Vinny? That they have an opinion on this, whether you've been in the hobby for 6 months or 60 years, you have an opinion. It's, and again, I hate to even bring it up. It's sort of like politics. You're either basically in one corner or the other. You can be in the middle. There isn't a huge swath of people that are that way, but I'm hoping, again, Steve and I, we've talked about this shit prior to the show being thought of, and on our discussions and text messages and whatnot and phone calls. We really want to know what you guys think tonight. It's you guys putting your opinions out there, and we can fuel the conversation through you guys, the viewers, and instead of us rambling and telling you guys what we feel, which to a point we probably all agree at some
level,
intersection.
yeah.
But if we say our opinion, I don't want that to sort of be like, oh, okay, well maybe I see it more that way. No, we want you to give your opinion on these subjects. Whatever, if we agree, if we don't agree, that's fine. We're not here to judge. You're not going to get booted out. You're not going to get banned. We want you to let us know what you guys think. And
We'll take away your premium subscription. That's all we'll do.
you're going to have to pay like triple for that premium subscription. And instead of getting like the free Jif peanut butter, you're going to get like the store brand that's like outdated by like 6 months. So bear in mind and keep that in mind.
Oh, it's amazing some of the things that we think about these days. But then again, that's why I always say that I enjoy these. And it's, oh geez, boot him out. We don't want him here. What's going on, Ed? Yes, you did. You're gonna have to go back and watch it. It was the first 2 seconds. Tells you how long that topic of conversation lasted.
Yeah,
Because we don't give a shit. What's going on, Ed? We can make that happen.
yeah, don't worry about that. We can come into plenty of those. So I'm
Oh,
start off with just a simple, broad topic. I'll show one card. The myriad I got in.
cut to the chase.
Yeah. And he's in the platinum subset, so it's a traditional TNT tamper. You can't return it
Yep.
foil. But one of the many I got in. Well, not many. It's slowed down. I've still got tons to show, but at the same time,
So shameless plug, and Benny, I'm glad you're here. So Dave sent me a text message the other night, and I'm not a social guy. I have Facebook just to have Facebook, and it was kind of cool to read this. Kind of put a smile on my face. Dave and I were kind of cracking jokes at it, but thank you, Vinny, for what you did throw out there on Facebook. I did. It put a smile on my face. So for those who may not be a part of Vinny's Facebook, I'm going to read this because I thought it was really freaking cool. So, Vinny, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, but thanks for the shameless plug. Not that we're looking to become YouTube famous by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was pretty freaking cool. So, this is, and I quote from Vinny's Facebook. Of course, I should have Dave. I should have Dave read this. He's got a better voice than me.
I wish I could. Instagram, though.
Oh, Instagram. Oh, okay. Instagram. Sorry. I don't have an Instagram account. Whichever one. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They're all freaking.
MySpace.
I ain't got $1 billion. I can't afford that shit. Name that movie. We'll see who jumps in. So in 2000, Gone in 60 Seconds was remade. When they are crushing the 67 Shelby GT 500, Memphis utters one word: unicorn. A very young me thought a Lemieux rookie was a unicorn. A bit older me thought the elites were unicorns. And a slightly older me thought the Kramer's Choice were unicorns. Bronco Steve has called them Eleanors, another term used in the movie for the same car. At Amish Dave Archer has called them kid cards. Don't know Dave and Steve? Shameless plug to come watch Dave's channel on Tuesday night, 8:35 Eastern. Same YouTube channel name. Whatever you call them, chase the waterfalls of the past. You may like what you find. I just, and there it is in the text message. I just thought that was freaking badass. So.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. This will be sort of from the friendship one where I didn't know Vinny from Jim on the street before I think Matt's podcast that I was on then, and then I saw him on there. I'm like, oh, this guy really seems to be involved in hockey, really likes it. He's messaged me with some stuff, asked questions, and I'm like, that's what I want. I mean, the bombardment, I don't mind. For me, I'm very, if you watch my videos, you'll say bullshit. I'm private. When I don't have videos on, if I lived in a cave like Osama bin Laden did for how many years, I'd be perfectly happy. I would. I mean, people question that, but I would. I love solitude and I just love calm. But when it comes to the hobby, I love, because I do have knowledge. Steve has knowledge. I love when people come to people that have knowledge to find answers. And if they can't find the answers, we'll find somebody that we know that has the answers instead of us not even fucking interacting with anyone. Like Vinny, I don't know him. He doesn't have videos up or whatever. It's like, that shouldn't ever fucking matter. It shouldn't matter if you're on the bottom of the totem pole or if you're in the fucking very top, or if you think you're in the very top, or anywhere in between. You should, if people are interested in this hobby, you should fucking take the time, answer what questions, or at least try to get some dialogue back and forth. Maybe find the answer. But I'm just glad him and then Joe, Dr. Exclusive, he's shown up a couple times in our podcast too.
Yep.
I like when they ask questions. I know Joe sent me an email, but on the phone, I can't fucking do anything with the email. I can respond, but it's tough to sit there and look at the question, then go back, answer. So I
Right.
tried getting to text with him because it's so much easier for me to do it that way. And well, again,
Ears were burning. Jeez, how many times has that happened in the history of this podcast?
it's like a
It
thing.
oh shit.
And
It
if
never
only
fails.
everybody believed that. If only everybody believed that. But well, the bad part is when you start seeing subscribers or you see your bank account and then you start seeing your collection and you think you've got something better than somebody else, which some of us, me with Josh Johnson, I will think that I've got the best collection out there because prove it that you do. I will lay down the gauntlet. But
But
yeah.
you don't put yourself above anybody else as it pertains to anything that they collect.
Mhm.
You can attest to that specific collection, but that doesn't you don't put yourself on a pedestal because of that portion of your collection you feel is the best. It's no different. I feel like I have the best Terrell Davis collection, more autograph collection than I do the whole gambit because I know that there's other guys out there that have a lot better stuff, a lot rarer stuff than what I do. But at the same time, I'm not above you. I'm not above Ed. I'm not above Vinny, or Carlos, for instance, and his Madonna. I'm not better than anybody.
Mhm.
It's we share that passion from a player perspective. I know Ed's more just a other than pudding. Uh, he focuses on the team aspect more than just a specific player, more so than what the rest of us do. But it's just because we have a personal belief that we have the best of said player collection, we don't treat anybody different. Period. Because we're not better than anybody else. End of conversation.
If we do treat you differently, it's because you become an asshole and you think you're better than everybody. Then you know what? You kicked in the nuts and pushed down the side of the cliff.
Well, that goes back to don't be a dick.
Yeah. Some people, no matter what the platform or even in real life, they just can't do that though, because
That
they've
is
got
true.
a god complex.
That is
So
absolutely true.
I like answering the questions. Again, I'll not. It's mostly from Vinny. It's mostly hockey because he's a big Penguins fan. I know. And from same with Joe, Doctor Exclusive. He's a big Penguins fan too. That I try to answer as knowledgeably as I can, and just with what I've picked up. And when someone says, "Well, hey, what do you think about this artist proof versus that artist proof?" I'll fucking say, "Well, the 94, 95, it's basic, but that hollow foil, it really shines, and there's a pretty finite amount. The other ones, they're nice, they're not as visually as appealing, but they may be tougher to find. Like the 96, 97. I'll show you the. It's not a hockey one, but I got one recently. Like this one, like the hockey wise, those are tough to find. So if you find it, decent price, get it. So again, it's relative, but at the same time, you try to be as succinct and straightforward as possible.
What's going on, Bob?
Hello, Bob Lewis. So yeah, if that's what I like. I want the interaction is the big part for us.
Well, and it's one of those that like Dave said earlier on, it goes back to the last episode, forging the friendships, just the initial interactions. And although you're looking for information or you're looking for answers to questions, it still allows that two-way conversation, which ultimately can lead to building those friendships. And that's where it starts. It's that first interaction. And, Dave and I still go back and forth sometimes on some of the 90s stuff because, like we always said, I don't know it all. Dave doesn't know it all. We'll never know it all. Of course, go back years ago, smash that like, subscribe, submit to that membership. We're looking for that first donation, guys. I mean, come on. We can't keep doing this for free.
Ring that bell so those notifications are first on your list.
We're such dicks, but it's so funny.
I've never been called a dick in my life. Never.
Okay. Where's the comment that's I know I'm not going to be the first one to call bullshit. Come on, guys. Come on.
See, nobody.
Everybody should be typing bullshit.
See, right there. Not bullshit.
We're not content creators, guys. We're not doing this to be famous and make money. Trust me, we wouldn't make shit.
No, and before we'll get to the collectivist investing at some point because it's a good topic. But when did it become content? When did you stop making YouTube videos? That's fucking stupid. I hate that. It's not content. You're making a video. That's it. Content is layered, various, different. Video. You're making a video. That's it.
Yep. Content is. I'm trying to think of a different way to put it. Because I don't want to think we're putting a jab on Ty, because he was putting content in some of his videos. He was telling stories. Story time with Ty. I mean, to be honest, that's what it should have been. Story time with Ty and some cards.
Mm-hmm.
Content are for those that are quote unquote YouTube creators, like your gamers, those type of guys. They're creating content and they're doing it for funds. They're doing it for monetary reasons. I'm like you, Dave. We're making videos. We're showing off our stuff. Call it a day. So
I think content, it just sounds more fancy. You have a pinky out, and I'm making some YouTube content. No, you're fucking making a video. Just say that and be done with it.
Well, and that's why I said, I didn't want to, feel like we were jabbing Ty because he was being him. He was putting himself out there, storytelling, telling past stories, having people, get a chance to know some of his past experiences and get to know him. Bad choice of a word, I think, in his video title, because that's not really what it is. It's him putting himself out there. So,
well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're always panhandling for.
Use somebody else to create their ideas or whatever.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, I've done that. Come on, guys. I've asked a few podcasts. What do you guys want to see? But at the same time, it's not content. I'm not looking to monetize my shit. Try and get the most views. I'm trying to think of those people, who still watch my videos. And give them something that they would enjoy watching. Unlike Ed, who is always like, I'll watch regardless. Well, that's great. And it's appreciated. No offense, Ed. But at the same time, I don't want it to always be the same crap and be mundane and things along those lines. Now, you're going to keep seeing a whole lot of PC Showcase videos, but that's because Dave won't leave me alone. Yet, I would just like to say, and I'm going to call his ass out on this, he hasn't made a comment on either of the videos I've posted yet. What kind of shit is that?
I'm well aware. I've liked him. I gave him a thumbs up. I've rung the bell for your channel, so anytime you post a new video, that thing is instantly notified on my phone.
Oh, so I don't have to text you anymore?
Oh, if you want.
It's one of those in which I know this sounds so cheesy, and I'm probably making Dave sound like he's even more weird than what he already is. But that's why we love him. Anytime I post a video, I let him know. I was like, hey, by the way, check your feed. And it's like, I'll get the woohoo text message, but at the same time, I know it's not to the point where he's like, oh my goodness gracious, jumping up and down. But I know he's it's one of those in which I know he looks forward to it because he's been on my ass for a long time to do it. And, there's only a few people that I actually have it to where I'm notified when videos get posted. I'm very selective with that, to be honest, because I don't want my phone to just constantly, go crazy on me. But it's one of those. I know he's been wanting it. I know there's others who have asked for it, and I'm not doing it just for Dave by any stretch of the imagination. It's also something for me. It's that history to a certain degree. Once I'm done, I can look back at 2020 and look at all of that, and then can potentially compare what it would be like a few years from now. Hoping that it continues to increase and not by onesie twosies, which it has as of late. But people aren't listing shit, which sucks. However, there's a guy, Dave, and you being an insert guy, there's a guy girl, I can't remember, but there's a seller on eBay out of Germany. And main collection focus, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis. So just throwing that out there. I haven't seen a whole lot of Barry stuff yet, but he has listed a few Terrell Davis stuff, one of which I'm going to try. Probably not going to happen. Essentials Credentials now numbered to 50.
With the videos, I know the last one I think in the second time watching it, because when I watch them, I should get the notebook out to make a list, because again, having your list in like the PDF, whatever, the file that was sent over through the email, like I'd rather just fucking write shit down. So I'm watching, I'm like, okay, he doesn't have that one. But then instead of writing it down, I'm like, well, what's the next one? Because you're going by Beckett. And so in my mind, it's automatically just jacked up, because instead of saying, okay, here's your Bowman's Best refractor, atomic refractor. No, we're going alphabetically, so it's atomic, then refractor. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I should know this by now. He's prefaced it like 5 times before he starts in the video or starts in the list or the displaying of the cards. But then it's like Collector's Edge, let's say President's Reserve, Collector's Edge, New Regime, die cut, Collector's Edge, 2 cool rookies or whatever. And it's like, well, those are 2 fucking different sets. And then Collector's Edge, President's Reserve, foil or whatever it was called, or Collector's Edge Advantage. And then it's like, God damn it, Becky, get your shit straight. Just Collector's Edge, President's Reserve, Advantage, separate.
Well, yep, and that was the thing, and it was debating multiple times what's the easiest way to ensure that when I go to integrate stuff, what can I use? Because I'm like you, I do think the same way. You know, Bowman's best, refractor, atomic refractor. You know, and and the reason for that is because the atomic refractor is a harder of a pull. Granted, that's what my mind wants to think, and that's what normal people think. Yeah, I said normal people. Um, I may be biased because a lot of people probably don't think we're normal, but that's okay because I don't care. Um, but at the same time, I was looking from a simplistic perspective. Beckett has it listed in alphabetical order in their weird, funky way. So this way, when I'm looking at my checklist and I need to integrate something, I know exactly where to go. So it was more trying to keep things consistent with what Beckett had listed in order, because I'm like you, it still drives me nuts when I sort through it from time to time, and I'm like, why the f is the atomic refractor ahead of the refractor? And then you've got the best cuts in between the atomic refractor, the best cuts atomic, and then the refractor, and then you've got the Bowman's best base refractor. It's like, okay, wait a minute, that makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It should go in progression, but you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. So I've kept it the same. I don't plan on changing it because then it would take me a while to refix everything.
Dopey, I like it. I like that. I think he picked up the '98 where Manning's holding up the jersey, and then there's like the foil, silver foil, and then, like the circle where you can sign. I think you get that fairly cheap. He lives not up by me, but he's just south of Duluth. He was at a card show this past weekend where I was at. We didn't meet up. I think he was there Friday. I went there Saturday after work and picked up a couple things, but I'm gonna spend a chunk of money on some hockey inserts at some point when build up the funds to get that and
Two
do some
likes from what? Sorry, I just noticed that.
probably the video so far when people
Oh,
click.
mine?
Yeah.
Yours?
Oh,
Oh, yours. It's the podcast. There's
mhm.
now three. I was gonna say I think I only have two likes on my most recent video.
One of my recent ones, fuck, I got a ton. Well, the one I showed the wrestling figures at the Walmart. I did do some keyword uh, playing with it there with the
Oh, did
rest,
you?
like the being the elite, because that's super popular. So again, I put that in like one of their most of their videos. They show a couple of guys going to the WalMarts and fuck, they can't find anything at all. It's like, oh, here's like it's basically like retail at the store. It's like nothing. You see like their ring and maybe one of their championship replica belts in the bottom, and never any figures. So, but that thing's up. That's what about a week, 10 days old, and that's up to like 1,300 views. Which,
Jeez.
which again for me, that I'm lucky if I get like 100 views on a video.
Yeah, well, because that came up like in one of my stories or something.
Okay,
It didn't come up as like a regular video. It came up as a story.
maybe because it's so short. It's like probably 40 seconds long.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm lucky if I get 40 views these days. Like I said, and I know I bring it up. I honestly, I really don't give a shit. Uh, I make them for the few people, like I always say, that watches them. So interesting question.
For me, and I've brought this up, I think I don't know any time I've ever talked about Josh Johnson in my collection. I think I've only sold one card, and that was a Allen and Ginter red ink mini that was out of like the rip cards, but it was with an asterisk. The guy sold it who was putting together that set. He was down to like 3 cards. That was one of them. It came with, the price was 100, which I knew was more than it was worth. And he said if another one, whenever another one shows up, he would get it for me. And I mean, again, a guy I've been friends with back then for like 10 years. So there's nothing to believe like, oh fuck, he's gonna screw me over in this. Eventually got it because I think one came up like 6 months later or whatever, and he's like, within reason. I said, you're not gonna pay 200 for it because that's stupid. It's like under 100 and I'll get it. And it went for like 54, $60. So that was done. I don't know if it's taboo. And again, this is just the 2020 thing, the motto in these weird times we're in, these uncertain times, these crazy days, nothing really at this point can be ruled out. I mean, even I'm trying to think that, and this is again a good chunk to throw into this topic. That Vegas Dave, he was so fucking high on his throat, so high. He was buying up any copies of that 2009 Bowman Chrome Draft refractor, the auto, the refractor panel, the X Factor, the orange, the reds. He had how many of the reds? I think 4 of the reds, maybe all 5 of them, and the super. He just sold the super a couple months ago for whatever it was, 3.48 million. And that was somebody that was huge, very high on Trout, but yet again, an investor flipper guy.
Right.
So again, it's not the same thing where, oh man, I've been collecting George Brett since 75 or whatever, or Ozzie Smith since 79, and now this year I decided to sell them. But again, in these times, it's a lot of the time, if somebody's offering a stupid amount, if somebody offered me like 10 million for my Josh Johnson collection, I would out with it. I love him, but that's $10 million. Now,
We all know that's not going to happen.
I was gonna say, if somebody's dumber than I am, I mean, albeit, or so be it. Though, like,
right. See,
but,
and I think taboo may be the wrong choice of word, maybe, because first and foremost, depending on who, I guess, dictates it being like a taboo type situation, selling a PC card. What gives them the right to say anything? Anyways, end of conversation. It's your collection. You do with it with what you want. Period.
mm-hmm.
Me personally, I've sold some TD stuff over the years. It's all been duplicates. But at the same time, that Terrell Davis is my PC.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Bronco side PC. I sold some dupes out of that. So it's still my personal collection, but it's nobody's place to dictate saying that it's, taboo, so to speak, to sell a PC card. That makes no sense to me, because at the end of the day, it's your collection. It's what you collect. And if you want to sell it, trade it, go for it. If you're okay with making that deal and you're satisfied with that and you're not kicking yourself in the ass later, then by all means go for it. If it's going to be one of those in which you've kind of gone back and forth type situation, that would be that's a difficult decision from that perspective, because if it's a collection, there's that personal connection to you. And in those situations, sometimes it can be very difficult to let something go. However, if there's a situation that presents itself that gets you something better, uh, somebody offers you a huge amount of money, stupid money, then fucking who gives a shit? I'm just gonna. It's your stuff, and it's your collection.
Mhm.
It's yours to do with what you want. There are some. I will say there are certain stipulations to a certain degree. If somebody gave it to you, then that's a slippery slope. That's a different topic of conversation. But if it's something that you've purchased, you've traded for, who gives a shit? It's yours. So
We'll come back to that in a minute because I got a good example with one of our friends. Show a couple of comments here.
yeah, I read that earlier.
The one thing, and I commend him for it, Michael, this film not yet rated. How the fuck he can trade 101s? I know he's getting 101s or stuff in return. Nope, I can't fucking do it. I thought about it. I hypothetically put myself in that place. There's a couple deals he's done where I'm like, wow, that you've got some balls. Because again, it's just stuff I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, well, hey, I got this clay. Again, like this, the prism, the finite, or like a select black, and you're giving up like a super fractor, like that mini. What is it? The 87, like the 2015 87 reprint chrome or whatever it was, or the 15 regular chrome. That one was a horse shit design anyway.
Yes.
I can see that. If I got those two for those two, I would do it. But when you throw other things in there, I'm like, oh, you're.
I think it's one of those that he kind of puts. I don't want to call it like a ranking system, but there's certain cars that I think he puts like a higher ranking on as it pertains to his collectability in his mind. What would make his collection stand that much more apart, or it's much more aesthetically pleasing to him. So from that perspective, I'm right there with you. I don't know how he does it. I would have a hard time doing that personally, but it keeps his collection fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting cards, like I said, that either he's wanted, hasn't seen type situation, and it's one that's always piqued his interest, or it's been kind of high on the list. So I can see from that perspective. Like I said, me personally, I couldn't do it. Okay, there may be some small situations in which I would retract that statement. If somebody came to me and said, hey, you know what, I'll trade you a PMG green for, 3 of your 101s, then we may have in that conversation. Okay. So I can't fully say that I wouldn't jump on something like that, but it would have to be something along those lines. But I'll give him credit. I like I said, that'd be very hard for me to consistently be able to do that and keep the collection fresh. Me, I rather keep adding stuff, not swapping stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me.
Well, then for you, it'd be more of a case by case basis. Let's say somebody had the 98 or 99 Ultra or 2000 the Master Edition or whatever, the 101 or the Flair Showcase 101, and they, hey, I want that finite Prism Black, like 2018 or 2017, whatever it was. It's like, okay,
I'd get rid of newer stuff for older stuff. I mean, that right there is a no-brainer for me.
Yep.
So absolutely, yes, I would give up something like this for something from the 90s, early 2000s.
Hmm.
That's, in my opinion, 10 times more rare because you didn't have 15 million one-on-ones thrown in the product.
Hmm.
I jump on that in an instant, unless somebody gave it to me.
Yeah.
Different situation. So Vinny, uh, I know you're talking baseball, but that's an interesting. I'm interested to hear what Dave has to say to that one.
If I had, like, let's say somebody came along, had the Johnson '06 Chrome Superfractor, and I had like a Juan Soto or a Cunha Bowman Chrome, whatever auto first year. If they with Soto, it'd have to be something a little more coming my way. I mean, it wouldn't have to be something huge. It wouldn't have to be. I know what it last sold at, and again, this was in its playing days, but that's the price in mind I've got for it. I don't know what, like, let's say a raw Soto 2016 Bowman Draft uh, Chrome Auto goes for, but if somebody had that and I had that, that would be something I'd part with. But that's me. I have never been where I can't part with something, or the Zumaya Johnson dual ultimate logo, MLB logo auto 101 out 2006. It wouldn't matter. I'd part with Brodeur stuff for those two cards. It wouldn't matter. Those two are they're up there. That's the two that are the ones I want. So anything other than Johnson low numbered stuff, 101s, anything is on the table. Northcutt, again, it's not like, oh my God, he's going to give up on McCown. But I'm just saying, Northcutt, McCown, Mike Sims Walker, Kerry Collins, Bledsoe, Martin, Brodeur, Waugh, Forsberg, Sack, anybody. There's the Barker.
Anybody
Oh,
want a dog?
hopefully Ed's still watching. He likes puppers. But yeah, I mean, it would just be like, whatever it took to get that card, I would do. I mean, if I had to trade, and again, it's not like I don't have any trade bait either, but Lombardi might be the one that'd be tough to get rid of, but everything else possibly would be on the table. Again, depending on what was done. See? There we go.
Go lay down, Bubba. Go lay down. I know, sorry, you're hearing me talk to the dog. I realized I just unmuted myself.
Yeah, it would, and that's where I'm thankful I've got. If that day ever comes, when those things pop up, I do have, and again, this is no brag, but I do have. If people are looking for the Hall of Fame patches or Hall of Fame autos, especially football wise, I Snoop said he's messaged me. He's like, you have one of the best collections out there. I don't think I do. I know a lot of guys out there that really I like, and again, I don't like the TTM aspect as much, but Garrett, what he has through his years of TTMing, that's some impressive shit. I get jealous when I see Jim Brown rookie year TTM autos or card show signings. That shit, I'm just like, oh.
So I'm gonna say something though, and people can disagree with me on this. Me personally, to get a TTM or a show in person autograph on a rookie card, I think is a huge mistake. I think it devalues, and yes, I know it's not about value, but it devalues it. It degrades it. Now, if you're talking about buybacks, that type of stuff, certified autograph buybacks inserted in products, different situation. Terrell Davis has one. It's a card I do not have in the collection. It's because it usually fetches big money. Do I want one? Absolutely. Because it's one of those in which it is certified through the card manufacturer. But me personally, to get an autograph on a rookie card, I think is a mistake. A rookie card should be a rookie card. And I'm not talking about, the newer stuff to where you get autograph rookies as their base rookies and stuff along those lines. I'm not talking about that, because that's pack pulled certified rookie autos. I'm talking about older stuff when that didn't exist really until 98 really. That was the bigger push. I know there's others, Dave, and you'll go back to Pro Line and Classic and that type of stuff. But those were done almost in excess to a certain degree. These people signing 8,922 copies, and then you got the next person signing 6,237 and their funky numbers. But 98 playoff contenders, the big rookies, Moss, Manning, Ward, Taylor, those guys. Woodson, I think, even had one too. But before that, anything going back, let's say 97 and previous, I've never understood getting an autograph on a rookie card. I think it's I don't get it. I don't. Then again, I'm not a TTMer. I'm not an in-person type situation. I don't know. Call me crazy. I've never understood why somebody would want to deface a rookie card of a superstar, for instance, like a Jim Brown, which has a substantial value in itself, but to have it autographed through TTM or in person at a show, you drop the value, in my opinion, and the collectability for that matter, because it's not a legit thing. And even if you get it certified, I still don't think it holds the value or the collectability aspect if you just left it alone. That's just my personal opinion.
Now, with that being said, would you, let's say you've got 2 copies of the card.
No. I have never, and this is one thing that I've stayed true to. I've never deviated from this mindset or this philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that somebody could convince me otherwise, but it's made no sense to me. To go back, to highlight a comment that you have from Vinny, it wouldn't matter. If it were meant to be signed, it would have been signed. Does that make sense?
To a degree. And I get your point completely. But back then, it wasn't thought of more or less than, hey, here's just some bubblegum cards. Run them through your spokes. Trade them with your friends. If you like the Browns, he likes the Packers. Trade Jim Brown for Bart Starr. Who cares? And but to that point, where you said it wasn't meant to be signed, you see a lot of these old vintage cards with the facsimile signatures on them.
Which I understand. And that was because that was another added concept to try and get more people to buy into the hobby, I think. There's always been autograph seekers. Let's be realistic. There's always been individuals standing in the parking lot of games trying to get autographs.
Oh, yeah.
I did it as a kid. I am from Texas, and I had a lot of I went to a lot of games when I was younger, and I'd sit out there in the parking lot and, get a lot of the Cowboys autographs. I'm not a Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I get it. But something that started then, not once did I ever get a rookie card signed. And this was in their prime years. This was in their Super Bowl years. Okay. I mean, so big name guys coming off of a Super Bowl. And I never did anything with them. I held on to them, and eventually I gave them to my son because he's a Cowboys fan. I hate the Cowboys. I like some of the players, but overall, I hate the Cowboys. Uh, but at the same time, and this is a personal thing for me. I'm not faulting anybody by any stretch of the imagination for what they want to do. It's their collection. If that's appealing to them, by all means. Me personally, I don't get it. I would rather have a Jim Brown rookie card over a Jim Brown in-person TTM autograph any day of the week. I would rather find a certified auto from another product, preferably a higher end product, because that's what I'd rather have. But like I said, that's me personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get both sides. Would I do the stuff Garrett I see when I watch his videos? Would I go to that extent, those levels? Probably not. Would I go to a show? And I'm more of an 8x10 guy. For wrestling, I get 8x10s and everything's autographed to Naomi. Do I already know that it's going to be fucking impossible to sell, but I don't care because I want her to go back and see, hey, and again, it's not a dick measuring contest. Like, oh, my dad met Ric Flair. My dad met AJ Styles. My dad met Jake the Snake and Roddy Piper. And here's all these pictures with me and him with them. And here's the autograph to go with it, or the auto 8x10 to Naomi. I
Right.
just like the personal effect. That's, and I like meeting him. I want to, usually I get nervous because, again, wrestling wise, it's something that I've watched very closely for 33, 34 years. That was the first sport that was on TV that I would watch. It was insane. And so, I mean, anytime I've met these guys, Ric Flair, I've told this story numerous times. I was shaking, and the buddy with me was like, "Are you gonna be okay?" I'm like, "I hope so." I'm like, "This is Ric Flair. This is fucking God to me."
Right.
I mean, you knew what he was gonna do in the match, but he was just, as he said, the man.
Right. And
So,
that's, man, I agree with that. And I've done it as a kid, and I've done it as an adult in certain situations. You're right. It is ultimately the experience. And that's why I was saying, if somebody wants something on a rookie, I'm not faulting them by any stretch of the imagination. It's not my cup of tea. That's my personal preference. But absolutely, it is in fact the experience, because these are pro athletes. As kids, we looked up to some of these people. Even as grown adults, we still look up to these people. So to meet, I don't want to call it an idol, that may or may not be the case, but it could be. It really is a freaking cool ass experience. And I'll tell a wrestling story because I used to be big into wrestling years ago, though, too. I actually have a few wrestling stories, but I'll tell one because it didn't end so happy for me, so to speak. This was years ago. I was still working at Subway before I actually, uh, got my first, I don't want to call it desk job, warehouse job, I guess, but I was working for Subway. I was an assistant manager. And back in those days, I had a pager because as in management, we had cell phones were kind of there, but they were a little bit more pricey. So we as management had to carry pagers. And my best friend, who I'm still friends with to this day, was going to the Fort Worth Brahmas. So it's like it's like the double A hockey local here in DFW. I don't even know if the Brahmas are still around, but Triple H was supposed to be there. And it was still when he was majorly active. He was the champion at the time, and he was signing autographs. And so my buddy went, and I sent him with one of my WWE magazines or whatever for him to get autographed. And originally he wasn't going to sign it. He's like, this is for my best friend. He got stuck working, any chance that you can make an exception. He's like, what's your friend's name? Blah, blah, blah. Started really having a conversation, holding up the line. Yeah. And you have like this promoter back over here sitting there going, okay, speed it up. And he's like, dude, chill. I'm having a conversation. So he did sign mine. He's like, hey, by the way, step back over here. See if you can get a hold of your friend. I want to talk to him. My friend paged me like 4 times. My pager fell off my pocket in my car. I found out after the fact that he waited for 10 minutes. Triple H was going to fucking talk to me over the phone because I couldn't be there. I was pissed. I was so pissed. I found out like at 11 o'clock after I had realized that I'm like, where the hell's my pager? And I went out to my car and I saw all the pages. So I called him from the store phone. He's like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, sorry, man. My pager it fell off in the car. He's like, dude, you're not going to fucking believe this. I was like, what? He's like, dude, Triple H was going to talk to you. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, no. He's like, he pulled me back aside and was like, get a hold of your friend. Because he knew that I wanted to be there. I wanted to meet him, and I didn't get a chance to. And he was actually going to freaking talk to me. I was pissed. Pissed.
Yeah, that I would be irate if that were the case.
Dude, I was so upset that day. I still have the autograph. I have a few wrestling autographs, all that had come from friends, going to autograph signings or whatever. I've got Mick Foley, that one of the guys from Subway went to an autograph signing, and then my buddy got Triple H, and fuck it, I'll tell the other one. Who cares, right? Never know what we're going to talk about in these podcasts. That's what makes this enjoyable, right? We may have topics, but you have no freaking idea what's going to happen. Speaking of which, Chris sent me a text message the other day, was like, damn it, I wish I made the first part of the podcast when you guys were talking about toys. I said, see, you never know what the hell we're going to talk about.
He sent me a video of all his G.I. Joe shit, and I was just like, holy fuck. Because we got in a big conversation on the messenger about that, and he's like, the mask stuff, and like eventually, and I start looking at that, and I'm like, God damn it, why isn't anything complete on auction?
Stop looking for stuff. I'm your guy. I'm telling you.
I wanted to look, though.
I'm your guy. Don't do it. Help me get rid of my shit first, because I would rather go to somebody like you who can appreciate it, and I'm not going to rape you through the coals either. But so the other wrestling story.
Have you met any wrestlers?
So this is the story.
Okay.
So actually, yeah, it'll be 2 stories, but you'll understand why. So since I alluded that I was a big wrestling fan, this happened after. So I'll tell you one story, and then I'll tell you the other one in which I met one of the wrestlers. Actually, I met three, but we won't get to that yet. So there was an instance where Monday Night Raw was live here in Dallas, and they were taping SmackDown in Bossier City, Louisiana, the following night. So my buddy and I, same friend, bought tickets to both shows. So we went to Raw live on Monday, left from Raw, jumped on the highway to Bossier City, got a motel room to go to SmackDown the following night. And then we stayed there Tuesday night and then left Wednesday because we wanted to do a little gambling. And we did see a few wrestlers while we were out there, but it was one of those in which we didn't go and bother them or anything along those lines. So actually, I have two wrestling stories that I met people, but I'll tell the other one later on. This one is kind of cool, but it's kind of shitty at the same time. So along the same situation, we had gone to Raw, and we were heading down the highway to come home. And we see this freaking black, like, Lincoln. And we kind of pass by it a little bit, and I look over, and I see the freaking big-ass cowboy hat. And I'm like, that's fucking Jim Ross. And my buddy's like, no, bullshit, you're seeing stuff. I was like, no, dude, that's fucking Jim Ross. So I kind of, like leaned back in my chair so he could pull up. And he's like, oh, shit, it is. I was like, fucking follow him. So we followed him to the hotel. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just going to be him, even though usually all of them stay at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And so we sat there for a little bit and we're like, shit, we have nothing. If we come across anybody, we can't get anything signed. We don't have anything. So we left real quick and went to a 7-Eleven and got like a little notepad. And we came back and we sat in the parking lot probably for a good 2 hours, I think. And so we met Big Show. We saw his big old tall ass walking behind the truck, and we're like, "Oh shit, that's Big Show."
Yeah, you're
so
not
gonna... you can't miss him. So we asked him for an autograph. He signed it. Cool as shit. And then all of a sudden, a little bit later on, we see a car pull up kind of to the front. Like the concierge to where, curbside drop off or whatever. And I shit you not, Mark Henry, Dwayne Johnson. And we're like, oh shit. So we freaking like haul ass up there. We didn't even approach Dwayne Johnson first, guys. We approached Mark Henry. Mark Henry's a Texas guy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Southern hospitality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We asked him for an autograph. The motherfucker blew us off.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwayne looked at him and he's like, here, man, I'll sign it. So and I still have it. I'll have to find it. But we got it. It's on a freaking, like one of them little small little notepads or whatever, the flip notepads. And Big Show's on one page and The Rock is on the other. And it's just signed The Rock. It's not Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he signed it The Rock because that's who he was. But it's one of those in which, at that time, The Rock and Triple H were at the top of the game during those years. And we didn't even want to bother him and asking Mark Henry. And he blew us off. But yet Dwayne was like, seriously, dude? And he took it. He signed it. He's like, have a good one, guys. And we're like, thanks, Rocky. We appreciate it. It just, cool as shit. Cool as shit. Yeah. Sexual chocolate. Big lead you. Dwayne was cool. I mean, granted, it was a limited interaction by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that he was I mean, he was the guy and bigger, 10 times bigger than Mark Henry ever thought of.
Oh,
And he still took the time to, sign something for two old guys. I mean, we were in our 20s, guys. We're not kids. We were in our 20s. But he could tell we were fans, though, too. So, I mean, it was just cool.
and to that, I've said, so I eventually want to go to WrestleMania. I know that's gonna
I'd
fucking
love to.
that's
I'd
gonna
love
be
to go.
that's gonna be a pretty much a no card 6 months because I'd like to meet a couple of guys there. But I've always said when I've watched the wrestling locally here, if anywhere in your fucking area, even if you're not the biggest wrestling fan, if you see a name there that you loved, and a lot of times it's a letdown. Because I've met a lot of guys. I don't pump my chest or whatever, but I've met a lot of guys, and a lot of them have been fuck just douchebags because they're still living in 1989. Honky Tonk Man being one of them. I didn't even fucking go for his autograph, and this is a guy I fucking absolutely loved as a kid. But he's such a fucking arrogant prick. So I just said, "Hey, how's it going, Wayne?" And he just grumbled and walked past. I'm like, "I'm not even at your table, fuckface. I'm waiting to get in, and you're acting like a cock already."
Yeah.
But if you can go to these local independent shows, pay your $15. Hey, you're helping the sport of wrestling because again, you don't just pluck them from the WWF tree. All these guys in the WWF now, they weren't WWF guys. They were somewhere else. A lot of them were independent. Same with AEW.
Yep.
But if they've got like the quote unquote legend there, those legends are it's not usually like 150, 250, $300. Like if you went to a fan access at WrestleMania, you're paying $300 to meet Sting. You're paying like 400 or 500 to meet Taker. I met Sting for $100, and people on the website or the Facebook page that the heavy on wrestling, that's the main promotion up here. They were bitching about the price, and I fucking there's about 10 comments like, man, that's a lot of money, and I'm like, motherfuckers, look at past prices of WWE access at WrestleMania. You're paying 3 times that. Plus, you have to probably pay for a ticket to get in because you're not going to WrestleMania weekend not to watch fucking WrestleMania. Plus, you got
Right.
to pay for food. You're paying for a hotel. You're paying for whatever travel down there to drive from Duluth, Grand Rapids, which are like an hour away from this place, Ely, which is a half hour, anywhere up on the range, even Minneapolis, it's like 3.5 hours. You think for one fucking $100, people are piss moaning. I mean, I tore into them. I'm like,
I do blame myself sometimes.
unreal prices. Unreal.
Everything's
Un
just
momento. You can keep talking.
in Rod's brain. Because
Flipping
when
through
I
the
got sick,
comments here. But it's insanity to think or to have people think that going to these local shows, because again, I've had other people too. Sam, one of my buddies down in St. Louis, he met Harley Race. He's met Cowboy Bob Orton, and it hasn't cost and broken the bank. You can go to these shows, see these guys for like, meet them for like $20. Auto and a picture, 25, $30 at tops. Unless, again, if you're a big, big, big name, but even then, think of how much you pay at Access. And again, Brian Danielson, or now as he's called in WWE, Daniel Bryan, he was like a $200 a ticket. You can meet these guys in Ring of Honor when they were there, $20. Micah Distemic and I, we've been to countless Ring of Honor shows, meeting he met Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, a couple of his favorite guys. $20, $20 to meet. Again, it's not maybe an idol, but it's people you appreciate in the sport. And if you can do that, I mean, $1 Million Man, he was nice as shit. Bobby Heenan, he couldn't really talk, and I'm glad I did because I think a year later he was dead. He had the throat cancer. He was commenting or trying to comment on my camera. He's like that because his wife said, "Oh, I think he's mentioning about your camera there." And I told him it wasn't a blue light special at Kmart, and fuck, he was just about passed out from laughing. He's like, yes. I'm like, I made Bobby Heenan laugh. That's again on the grand scale of things. Sell a card for $4 million or make one of the best manager of all time fucking gut laugh. I'll take the gut laugh any single time.
Right.
Same here, Dopey. I want to see him. But again, that's one guy that's sort of in the talk. He believes his own shit all the time. I love his creativity, but he doesn't the stories and not how he hates this guy and that guy. I'd love to listen to Jim Cornette, but he's got I don't know irritable bowel syndrome. Somebody pissed in his Cheerios. It gets annoying after a while. But yeah, that Fortune-Mania was supposed to happen this year. We're gonna have Kane, Lita, and then the Great Muta. I was fuck. I'm like, that's been the worst part about this year, missing wrestling, because that's. I mean, I wasn't going to Atlantic City. I don't want to fucking go anywhere near New Jersey. I want to wave from the border of Pennsylvania or Maryland and watch New Jersey float into the Atlantic Ocean. That's what I'll do. That's as close as I want to get to New Jersey. But I mean, the Rock and Roll Express, I was supposed to meet them in April. They were coming up for a show. And then Muda, Kane, and then Lita. And I don't know who else was going to be up for the show in August. Now the Halloween show is canceled. So I mean, that's the stuff I really miss because that's the time where you can just sit there and fucking not even think. You can just watch, just zone into that, and then zone out of every fucking other negative bullshit that's out there. And that's where people are like, I miss games, or I know games are too stressful. Wrestling, you can just sit there. It's predetermined. What I hate people saying it's fake. Fucking take some of those bumps. Those aren't fake. You're not landing on pillows and fucking sponge. That's a very thin piece of mat on 2x4s. So that's one thing I get really super wound up with. It's fake. No, the winner is predetermined unless some sort of unforeseen injury happens. But yeah, they were out there in 2011. That's where I met Kurt Angle, Ric Flair. Who the fuck else did I meet? What do I not remember? Oh, Victoria was in WWF for a good while. Her and Stevie Richards, and then she had like the tattoo, all the things you said, as her entrance. I've got a couple pictures with her over the years because I think I watched her last match. And then someone else was there too. Oh, Mr. Kennedy. But I think they will. I mean, TriStar usually has some sort of oddball type sports folks, and Hogan was there what 2 years ago, maybe.
Don't get me to lying.
That I'd love to meet Hogan. I know I'd pay a couple hundred probably, but again, I've met Flair, I've met Sting. Hogan's the last monster that's alive that I want to from my childhood, even though I hated him. I can honestly say that I fucking hated Hulk Hogan as a kid. Big Boss Man, Hakeem, Million Dollar Man, my two favorites, Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect. I loved them. Loved bad guys. Shocking, I know. Stunning.
You outside, be different? No, Dave, come on. You're not different.
And then them being from Robbinsdale, Minnesota, you always hear the Minnesotan. You're, oh, cool. I like that. I don't want to hear fucking. And then everybody cheered for Hogan. That was the worst part. So it's like, why do I want to cheer for him?
I was a Warrior guy growing up. And
Yeah,
he was a local guy.
the Dingo Warrior.
Partially local.
Well, that's where he started, down in WCCW.
Yep. My friend's parents had a friend who was a jeweler that knew him and did a lot of his custom jewelry. He ended up actually getting one of his early cards autographed, personalized to him. And we were supposed to meet him one night after a house show years ago, right around when the Taker actually first kind of made his presence known.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't come to fruition. So that was kind of a downer situation. But, got to see a lot of the older guys wrestle, though, too, live in person.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockers in, The Undertaker in his early years. So, I mean, that was cool to still be able to see some of those guys.
And that's where I've been asked too by that promoter of that heavy on wrestling, and the guy that now he stepped away from Fortune Bay, which sucks because that's where at the casino where that thing was held at. How much would I pay to meet the Taker? I said 300 would be. I mean, it's a lot, but again, going back, access. I know I'm paying at least 300. At
Right.
least. So again, if I pay it up here and I have to travel a half hour and I can travel a half hour back home, sleep in my own bed that night, that's it. Because again, I usually budget out probably $1,000 for that weekend. The front row seats are like 100 each, which I'm like, I don't care. It's front row. That if I'm paying that for a fun show, give it to me now. I don't care because that's my national for wrestling. Because national, I don't go to every year. I don't want to go to Atlantic City. Cleveland, we're not going to be able to go there anyway after next year. I think they're closing that IX Center down, so I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Cleveland on the date. But Chicago next year, I plan to go, and I'm hoping there's wrestling, and I hope they don't conflict because that's going to be a fucking week that I'm going to have to find some more Pascal Siakam cards and bang, because that's just going to be vicious.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be pretty brutal.
Dusty Rhodes, I don't know. I liked him a bit. I love the Horsemen. When they broke his arm in the car door, when Barry Windham slammed the door and Blanchard was stomping on it, oh, heaven. But I didn't watch a ton of WCW. There was a guy up here that lived in Robbinsdale that knew some of those guys, and then they moved back down. That I was good friends. We were like 2 houses down, and he had the weight room in the basement, and he had like the creatine powder and all this other bullshit, and he was lifting weights. And the fun part about his house, which we moved into after they left, there's like a banister coming downstairs. So I mean, it was like the floor for the upstairs. Then you came down, then the banister started, and it had like a nice landing or a launching point. So we had like stuffed bears, like pretty big stuffed bears, like 2 foot high. So we'd come off like the top rope. We'd do like the doomsday device. watching Saturday Night Live, or not Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night's Main Event, and like WCW Saturday Night, fucking just doing all that shit. I mean, figure fours and scorpion death drops, and I mean, I was more WWF, but I mean, once I started watching with them more WCW, I really got hooked. But again, whatever wrestling was on was absolutely just put it. WCCW was the first one, world class, down in Fort Worth or Dallas, whatever it was. I want to go to that old Sportatorium site. That's even though they tore it.
Well,
I know they tore it down, but I want to still go there. That's a
so
huge part of
W
my.
and I watched a lot of that old school stuff though too. The Von Erichs. I mean, Texas legends from a wrestling perspective.
Iceman
Uh,
King Parsons.
but WCW, I want to say only came to Dallas or Fort Worth 2 or 3 times the entire time that they were on TV. And I don't know if it was like a freaking contract type thing, a freaking whatever. But the first time that they actually came to Dallas, my buddy and I were there. Because, go figure, I was a Sting guy. I loved Sting. I loved original Sting with the blonde hair and the freaking bright face paint. And then, of course, when he kind of started taking the Crow kind of mantra and the clothes and everything else. Yeah, that loved watching him in those days. But I mean, at the time that they came to Dallas, he was only in the black trench coat and the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still cool as shit because saw Kevin Nash. Those guys that I still liked watching, I guess. Goldberg was even there still, and it was one of those in which you watched WWF because that's when it was still WWF, and then you watched WCW, and you because they were on alternating nights, and then of course the wars came along and everything else kind of went to shit. But I still remember the first time they came, and we made sure we were there because we had never had a chance to go see live WCW. For whatever reason, they never came to Dallas or Fort Worth. Never understood it.
I don't know what. And again, it was back then.
The good old Steiner brothers. Yes, I do. Back before Scott went major roid crazy.
Yeah. You remember New Jack at all for ECW?
Can't say that I do. I
Look
didn't
up,
watch a lot. I didn't watch a lot of ECW.
look up, Vice, that the channel Vice or whatever. They have some good documentaries on some of these wrestlers. The Benoit, all the shit that went on with him, but from a non WWF perspective, it's just, hey, these people were involved. And then they've got one on New Jack and fuck. Again, he's batshit crazy. Um, I loved him. I love that he came out to Natural Born Killers by Ice Cube and Dre. That's one of my favorite rap tunes because it's a real in your face, loud tune. But there's a story in there. I really don't want to get into it because you have to fucking listen to it to actually believe it because people were there and it happened. But I mean, it was basically this wrestling fan who maybe did a couple indie matches up in, I want to say, like Connecticut, Rhode Island, somewhere up there, Massachusetts maybe. And They needed somebody for a 6-man, I think. And he's like, I'll fucking do it. And he was trying to tell Jack before the match, like, hey, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And he's like, because he even says in the thing, he's like, that motherfucker was telling me what to do. He's never fucking wrestled in his life. He's wrestled 1 or 2 matches. He thinks he's going to tell me what to do. Okay, I'll listen, and then we'll do it my way. And you're just like, fuck. So yeah, there was a lot of blood. Let's just put it that way. Mass transit. Mass transit. Look up that incident.
Okay.
That'll tell you all you need to know. But yeah, he stabbed somebody. Because I think later on the documentary they got video footage of like stabbing somebody in a fucking indie match in Florida, so he's wanted down there. I think TNA, when they were starting to really get popular in like 04, 05, they brought him in, I think, for like a one-off, hoping that he hadn't, or he'd cooled down.
Completely gone off the deep end.
And that was a no-go there. So I mean, he's pretty much by his own doing, because I mean, he's drugs and booze. He's like, he doesn't have anybody to blame but himself. But I mean, he has done some stupid shit. I mean, if you've seen the balcony dives in ECW, the guy jumping off the balcony,
All right, I've seen some of that stuff.
that's usually him jumping off. The black dude with the bandana, he's jumping off and doing that. It's an interesting, like, with you not really knowing his story, it'll be like, what? Where the fuck? What? So,
But then again, I mean, you take that many dives, you take that many chairs, tables, heads to the mat. Because if you've ever seen a mat constructed, like you said, it's not like it's super bouncy here.
mhm.
You know, it's not like, and shit's gonna jack you up. I'm just saying, it's no different. I mean, football does the same stuff. It completely changes the dynamic of brain function. And you know, if you also add drugs and alcohol to the mix, of course, you know that doesn't help either.
No.
So
Yeah, I'd say look up, I think it's Vice or Vice Land, the TV station. I know they got like a YouTube channel. I want to say it's like Wrestling with Shadows or something behind. It's like not Beyond the Mat, because that was Funk and, I'm trying to think, Drozdov and, somebody else, Foley maybe. And his, like, that Barry Blaustein had that film at the end of the '90s, which is a good one too. But it's like wrestling with Shadows. That's what it's called, but you can get lost in that wormhole pretty quick, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't hear, because WWF doesn't want to put it out there. It's, once again, I've always said it too, Vince McMahon and his revisionist history, everything, sort of like another person that's maybe in charge of the country right now. You have to have that positive light. You can't have that negative light at all. It's got to all be positive, which in anybody's life, it's not all positive.
well, it's not a reality.
Oh, I know, it's a fake. So
I mean, you're right. It's, you know, with the whole Benoit thing, you know, they had their moment of silence, you know, they do all that, and then all of a sudden when they find out, you know, all the stuff that came out afterwards, it was like he was completely wiped off from existence.
hmm there it is, Dark Side of the Ring. I knew it was something. It's so good. I mean, and
I have to check that out.
that's a wrestling fan that fucking already knows this shit. It's not like, oh my god, what's new here? That's another, yeah, from WWE Insurrection over in London, or some, they might have had a European tour. That might have been the blow off. Like, it wasn't a pay per view, but it was like a big show, sort of like, I'd say, a SummerSlam, like equivalent to that. And that's when I think, Scott Hall, I think, got fired as soon as he stepped on the U.S. soil. Him or Perfect, one of the two, because it was just a fucking absolute nightmare where people are getting peed on and drugs done, and I mean, stewardesses were being accosted, and it was just fucking. At some point, you can't go with the boys will be boys bullshit. I mean, you got to act like somewhat of a professional.
Well, money, drugs, booze.
30,
That's a bad combination, man.
and then I think it was Scott Hall that tried to open the plane door. That's what it was. Why he got fired. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that, again, unless, yeah, charter. Because I used to follow PW Torch with Wade Keller on internet religiously. That was the dirt sheets and all that shit. I wasn't going to call 1-900 and talk to Mean Gene about some bullshit or whatever. And Wade Keller, he was, he had the inside, and it was fun. See, there you go. There's one.
And believe it or not, they don't like put them up in real ritzy fancy hotels either.
No, you're getting. I won't say you're not getting the like mom and pop one level, like 12 room one, but you're just getting a La Quinta or Comfort Inn or whatever. That's what you're getting.
So then I guess I'll go ahead and tell my other story. So my buddy's uncle was dating, who later became his wife, but was dating the manager of a hotel in Irving. I'm not going to give the name because, hell, for all I know, they may still stay there.
Hmm.
This is insider secrets here. We found out that after one of the shows that they had, we found out that they were staying at her hotel. So we got a room. We didn't go to the show, but we got a room at the hotel. And, you know, they book them under their real names. So if you know real names, you know who they are, of course. And I had called in sick. So we actually checked in fairly early that day. And it was kind of a good thing that we did because that's how we actually ran into Kurt Angle. He did not end up staying there that night, but he had made a stop into the hotel or whatever, and we happened to see him, so we both got a picture with him. But he did not end up staying. And the whole reason why we were wanting to stay is we were hoping to run into Stone Cold because he was on the list, and so was Triple H. And so we waited in the lobby. Not like in the bar, but we kind of sat back in the lobby and we started watching them come in. And for the life of me, I can't remember who the fuck it is anymore. It was shit. It was the Dudley Boys, and they had carpooled with one of the divas. And for the life of me, I can't think of who it was. It's like I'm drawing a blank at that time.
Trish Stratus?
It may have been Trish. For the life of me, like I said, I don't remember. But I was on my way to the elevator, and they ended up getting on the elevator at the same time I did because I had to run up to the room because I had to use the bathroom. There's the Dudleys.
Way back when the WWE.
And it was the weirdest freaking vibe, man, because it was like Trish. If it was Trish, it doesn't really matter, but I'll just say it was. She seemed very awkward. You know, it was one of those in which it was like a very uneasy type situation. Some random dude in the elevator. It's not like she didn't have protection. She had the Dudley boys with her. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic here. I got off on my floor and I was like, you know what? I was like, you guys have a good night. Thanks for a great show. They didn't know that I wasn't there, of course.
Yeah.
And then, I came back down. So Jeff Jarrett, no, not Jeff Jarrett. Jericho was still there. Jericho was hanging out in the bar, and we could see him from where we were. We met both the Hardys and got pictures. And let me tell you, they looked freaking like they were hung up wet. I mean, they looked like absolute dog shit. And I carried on a conversation probably for 30 minutes. I'm down in the lobby, and it was Quick Kick before, he ultimately changed his name. Carried on a conversation with him. I'm in the lobby. He's on the second floor, and we're just like talking back and forth for like half an hour. But we didn't see any of the people that we were hoping to see. No Stone Cold, no Triple H, but we saw a shit ton of them just piling in. And we were tempted on going down and hanging out with Jericho at the bar just to see who else was down there, but he was the only one that we could fully tell that he was there. No autographs that night. We weren't seeking autographs. It was just one of those in which we were actually staying at the same hotel that a lot of them were at. So, I mean, it was cool to see them all coming in, see who all they carpooled with, because they always carpool.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Saves money.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, sorry, Nat.
That 2016, probably about a little under a month from now, it would have been when Cody got released. I don't know, it was over the summer. Cody Rhodes was cut by the WWF, and he had come up with like a list of who he wanted to face. He didn't care where, he just wanted to face these guys because, again, those WWF only. So I want to go to Japan. I want to fight some guys there. I want to fight some of the older guys that weren't going to come back to the WWF or anything. And I want to fight some of the independent guys that, again, WWF has no interest in dealing with. So lucky enough, and again, at St. Paul, I didn't really want to go to St. Paul to fucking watch wrestling in November. But I'm like, Cody Rhodes, I fucking love him. It's Dusty's kid. I liked Dashing Cody Rhodes in the WWF. I liked him when he had his like Phantom of the Opera face mask when he had his broken nose or whatever. I loved the Disaster Kid. So,
Did you like Stardust?
I love Stardust. He just, he's like his old man. You can fucking Dusty. Vince was a douchebag. Okay, go back and I'll come back. Virgil, for Ted DiBiase, was named Virgil because of Dusty Rhodes' real name is Virgil Runnels. He hated Dusty Rhodes that much that he named a slave, basically guy, for a white millionaire after him. So when Dusty came to the WWF, and I think it was like, must have been early '89 or real super late '88, and they had the vignettes of like him being the common man, him digging a ditch, him plumbing, him fucking gardening or whatever, fixing the TV, air conditioner. They put the polka dots on him. They thought, fuck, this guy ain't gonna work for shit. He's just gonna give up. he worked his ass off, made that character something because he knew he was getting shit on, but he's like, fuck it. I'm going to make it work because that's what he's always known to do. And that's what Cody did. That's why when Stardust got over, he fucking started getting taken off TV or limited a lot more because he didn't want to do jobs. Again, that's fine, but if you're getting good heat, which he was getting, the fans were behind him. And that's like, okay, no, we gotta dump some water on that. And it just and now this day and age, you have so many options. You could go to New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA / now Impact Wrestling, now AEW. You can go pretty much anywhere. You could be an independent and you can fucking make your money just doing what he did, working shows here, working shows there, pretty much having a list of wrestlers he wanted to fight. So getting back to the current day, go to the hotel, and who's standing in front of me, checking in at the hotel? Cody fucking Rhodes. And of course, me being the odd duck that I am, I don't have like, who would it be? Fucking like a Rock shirt or Shawn Michaels or Brock Lesnar, somebody like that, their shirt, or Taker, whatever. I don't have their shirt on. I've got a Bo Leave shirt. Bo Dallas, the son of Iron Mike Rotundo, IRS in WWF days, so the Varsity Club way back in WCW NWA. I've got his shirt on, so Cody looks back. You can see the smirk. Like, all you got to do. And I said, is Bo Leave? So you going to the show tonight? I'm like, I'm not going to miss it for the world. I've been a fan of yours forever, and I'm fucking excited to see you live. And he's like, can't wait till you're there. And we talked at the show too, and I'm like, I'm shaking because I'm such a big fan of yours. I don't want to be that fanboy, but you are fucking gravely underused in WWF. I can't wait to see what the fuck you do now that you're on your own. And then I think it was like a month later in Ring of Honor, he joined the Bullet Club, and I'm just like, oh, I look like Randy Marsh in the basement with like the cum everywhere on the fucking screen of the computer, and I'm just like, oh, I was so happy because I mean, the guy busts his ass. He gets hurt here and there. Everybody fucking gets hurt when you have a 270-day a year schedule. Like pretty much anyone that isn't your absolute Braun Strowman now, like a Seth Rollins, the huge, big name, top tier guys. They're not working every day. The mid card guys are the ones that are carrying the product. So for him to have the success he's had, I'll buy every piece of fucking merchandise he has, every figure, anything to do to support whatever he's in, I will fucking do. Just because, again, he has worked his ass off.
Everybody's laughing at you, Dave.
That's fine. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. Even
Okay, they're not laughing at you.
the shirts that I try to wear in the videos to try to change it up a bit from the white shirt. I bought, I don't know if it was a Cody Rhodes one because they didn't have it in fat guy sizes, but they had a Cody Rhodes American Nightmare wallet. I'm never gonna fucking use that thing, but it was like $6 and it's Cody Rhodes. I will get it. He is one of my favorites of all time, and it's just because of the work he puts in. It's not just, oh man, he's good in the ring or good on the mic. He does everything the way it should be done. And that's what I like about him. It pretty much showed Vince, fuck you.
No, there's been a few of those who have done that. And I stopped watching some time ago. I don't. It's one of those in which the guys that I used to enjoy, of course, I was more into the the Attitude Era.
Yep.
Because to me, that's when it was fun. Not that I still don't tune it in from time to time just to kind of see what's going on. But, the whole Attitude Era and the rivalries and DX and it just those they were humorous at times, a little risque also at times, I guess, to a certain degree. But, that time was fun because the censorship, I guess, really wasn't there as much to a certain degree. And I always loved the watching DX do their skits and stuff, making fun of the McMahons or the shit.
Nation.
Who all was it? Nation. It just crap like that. It was just you couldn't help but laugh. And then, of course, after Rock became The Rock, just listening to some of the shit that he would throw out on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy could freaking cut a promo like freaking better than anybody. I mean, he was very creative, which makes sense as to why he's made a mega bucks in the movies and everything else. He's just got that charisma. He's very creative, but those were the times in which I enjoyed it a whole lot. So every once in a while, I'll tune it in from time to time if I can't watch something else because I can't find anything else to watch. But it's, to me, a lot of it seems a lot more predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, you thought maybe this could be it, but then all of a sudden they threw like a wrench and you're going, okay, well, wait a minute. Where the fuck did this storyline just go? Have a good one. Thanks for joining. It just, I don't know. It's just not the same.
Right now, it's tough. I watch some of that AEW Dark on YouTube. I'll watch that BTE, the Being the Elite. It's every Monday. They've got like usually a 20-minute just sort of clip together, like some of the guys in there and some of the gals. The Dark Order is probably right now my favorite thing going because of one guy. I'll literally piss my pants watching him during their skits or like the whatever vignette type things they're doing. I'll send you a link to that and just I'll give you the whatever timestamp to start here and just watch that. And then if you like it enough, go back the previous weeks. There's some stuff that I've been punching my leg. I've been laughing so fucking hard, coughing, crying. He used a word that we used to say up here in like the mid '90s. I haven't heard anybody else say it probably since then. And when he said it, I lost it. I was done. I just had to go back and watch because I'm like, I didn't even hear what the hell they did. And this week, oh my god, it was so good. And I love watching them because there's like about 5 or 6 around. So when you start seeing somebody like drop their head immediately, they're fucking trying not to laugh. It's fun, and that's what I like. I don't like the business where it's so kayfabe, where you're like protecting the business. At times, I don't like when it's just pretty much what you see now, and it's like everybody knows what everybody's doing, and that you call it, oh man, look, he's blading right there, and it's like, no, what the fuck he's doing? But I like where it's gotten now opposed to like in the '80s where everybody was like, I need to be my character. I can't play characters. No, if somebody asks you for an autograph and we met, or I wanted to meet Bubba Ray Dudley when he was with TNA. He's being a dick because he was like his Bully Ray persona.
Right.
So, and then Elijah Burke was down there then. Another asshole. He's like, you guys are gonna wait for my autograph. I said, I'm fucking waiting for your autograph. I don't give a shit about you. So I went to go talk to Simon Diamond from ECW. I talked to him for 20 minutes, and he's like, you're like the only guy that's ever talked to me on these trips. I'm like, you're in fucking ECW. Right? Simon says, I want to talk to you. So
you got guys who always think their shit don't stink and they're above everybody else, and it's what they don't realize is part of their salary comes from us people who go and pay to watch shows and buy their merchandise and so on and so forth. Without the fans, and yeah, I know I use the air quotes, but without the fans, you're not making the money that you would. You can have a standard salary and everything else, but that's only part of it.
and that's the thing. Without people being at a stadium or whatever arena, fuck, these guys got to be losing a ton on merch. Because nobody's buying fucking shirt, their hat, their pennant, their poster, whatever they've got. Nobody's buying any of that stuff now. Or not to the volume you would if you were how many dates a year.
I mean, the big name guys are always gonna make that money.
Mm-hmm.
But like you always say, the mid tier guys who work 10 times harder, they're the ones that are hurting the most in situations like this because, they're not banking a couple $1,000,000 a year.
No.
It's just that's not what's in their contract. So they're banking on those merch sales and things along those lines and some of the other appearances and stuff to compensate for some of the difference. But when you can't go somewhere, you can't have signings. You're not having in-person shows. They're still doing them, but there are no fans. So you're right. Who's buying their stuff? Every once in a while, people may, pick up their stuff from WWE shop or, I don't know if AEW has a site or, some of the other ones do for their merch. But unless people are still picking up stuff and, because it's their character, their likeness, I would hope that they would be getting a percentage of those merch sales. If not, then they have somebody they need to get rid of to review contracts and everything else because that's their persona. They create said persona, so that likeness is theirs. Although it's owned by the company, that's when you need to make sure you have a damn good lawyer. Just saying.
Either that or have like a trademark.
Something.
So I think Undertaker, that's what he did before even debuting. He fucking trademarked his deal. So, I mean, you gotta have some business savvy in the fucking game. You can't just be happy-go-lucky or be cocky and arrogant and not think at some point in time that Vince or whoever is running these companies is going to be like, oh, yeah, you can go off and be John Moxley now. You're not Dean Ambrose anymore. Like, well, John Moxley was popular before, too. Not to the point of Dean Ambrose, but people remember John Moxley from CZW. And if you look on the back of his head, he's got a big old scar from some of those death matches out that way. I don't know. The wrestling game's always fun to talk about. We could do that probably for 6-8 hours.
No, you could.
Yeah.
I grew up watching in the mid 80s, a lot of the 90s. I watched a lot during the Attitude Era, but outside of that, like I said, it's one of those in which the creativity and the storylines, they're not as intertwined and well thought out. And this is my opinion. It just I go during the Attitude Era, time frame. I mean, there was twists and turns in the storylines all the time. And the minute you think you somewhat got it figured out, it's like here comes a freaking chink in the chain. And you're going, what the fuck? I didn't see that coming. A lot of this stuff these days, and granted, we had social media back then too, but there's too many spoilers. There's too many, it's not the same. And with things being so rampant on social media and instant type communication or news and things along those lines, it takes away from the possibility of being surprised, I guess, in certain situations. But a lot of the time, it seems like things these days are too predictable. I
Well, yeah, you
mean,
didn't have as many people coming in from like different organizations. You didn't have like Rick Rude coming from ECW to WWF, but was on like a WCW screen all within the same 24 hours or whatever. You didn't know that somebody was a free agent or what, like Jericho when they didn't want to put the belt on him. He's like, fuck it. So, but you had a nice build up with him. But
right,
then Benoit and them, that was another one. Benoit was supposed to get the title from Sid Vicious. Didn't happen. So it's like, you know what? I'm never going to be a title contender here. They don't want, we're the vanilla midgets. That was Eric Bischoff's statement. You wanted these
right.
big, clumsy oaf guys. And so that's why him, Guerrero, Malenko, and Saturn all went to the WWF. Guess what? We at least can ply our trade there, unlike in WCW where we're just getting buried.
Yeah. It's no different with the Montreal screw job. I mean,
Yep.
there's always those situations and circumstances, and it, I mean, so I mentioned that a lot of the stuff is predictable these days. I did happen to catch something in that. I know this has been a while, but it was Becky Lynch and Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Asuka? Is that her name?
Asuka, but yeah.
Ashka. Okay. Whatever. I was close.
All right.
See, you can tell I don't watch it very frequently, but it's when they've been doing stuff at the training center or whatever it's called.
Yep.
And she handed over the belt because she was leaving because she was pregnant. Okay, so to a lot of people who may or may not have been watching stuff, a lot of people knew she was already pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It got spoiled. And, if you watch it for the storyline, because, the thing has always been it's a male soap opera. I've always laughed when I've heard that. But when you find out about something like that, it really takes away from the viewing experience. Now, I didn't know it at the
Mm-hmm.
time because, I don't sit there and go and watch a lot of social media and everything else. But I happened to watch that show and I was like, okay, is she really pregnant or is she hurt? And that's just some sort of storyline that, because I've watched wrestling for so many years, you just don't know what's in fact true or what's part of the storyline. So, of course, after that, I'm sitting there going to Google and I'm going, okay, is this legit? And then, of course, I found out absolutely. I mean, she's pregnant. So, of course, she can't be doing what she was doing.
No.
But I just, to me, it takes away from all that.
Yeah, I don't like finding that stuff out at all. I I want to be surprised. I want to know somebody's there. Like if we saw a limousine driving in. Okay, something's gonna be good later on. I don't care what it is, but I that's what I like. I want to know something's going down. But yeah, but the pregnancy thing, I didn't know because, again, I'm not. I got off Twitter too. I just like I don't want to deal with anything this year. Politics and religion aside, I'm like, you know what? I'll just follow wrestling. I'll watch my BTE. If something pops up in the feed that I need to watch, I'll watch it. But yeah, I've gotten away from looking at all that shit because I just don't want to deal with anything. So when I saw that, yeah, I was the same way because she's like, you're the you can have this, and you can tell. I don't even know if that Oscar is that good of an actress or not, because she's just like she had the puzzled look on her face, like what? Like, give a chance.
I think that was real. I think that was a true.
Because she
You know,
looked,
they
she didn't have a clue.
yeah. So there were people who knew, obviously, in the company. I
Yeah,
mean, come on, let's be realistic. I mean, but either she a really damn good like faker from an actress perspective, or it was 100% genuine. And I feel like I've watched wrestling enough in my years to where that was like, are you freaking serious? I mean, is this really? I mean, this isn't a joke. I mean, you could tell that was genuine
yeah,
because even after all that happened, I'm like, okay, this was planned, this was staged. Okay, Becky and doing all this, that part was staged. She had that stuff planned out of what was going to transpire. But I was like, was the rest of it, you know, uh, an acting job? And rewinded it a few times. I'm like, you know what? That was genuine. Like, wait a minute, huh? No, you're fucking with me. No, wait, you're serious, huh? What?
yeah. When she's like, I got to go away for a while. Why?
Yep.
And she's like, I'm pregnant, and you could see that Austin's face, like
Yeah,
super.
the eyes get like super big, the mouth kind of drops open, and
You're pregnant?
yeah,
Yeah. It's like that's cool. I mean, you don't like we've said too. You don't have those moments a lot anymore, which sucks because
Ab-
that's one of the reasons why people get sucked into wrestling, the unknown and real life melding with like fake whatever, like the male soap opera or the wrestling storyline. That you can buy into that and you can really get sucked in quickly if something like that happens. Unlike where again somebody gets beat down. Cody Rhodes took time off to do like some judging in some stupid show on TNT. So get the shit kicked out of him by it's Brody Lee, but he was in WWF as one of Bray Wyatt's minions. I can't even fucking remember his name. That's how awesome he was.
it
But
wasn't Rowan.
no, the other one,
Um,
the big beard,
shit.
the big beard and the scraggly hair. But
Yeah,
he's the guy with the
Luke
dark hair.
Harper. Luke
Yeah.
Harper.
So he got destroyed. I mean, fucking just destroyed by him for the title, the TNT title or whatever it is. And I mean, kept on destroying him after the match, out with the gurney or whatever, the stretcher. And it's like, okay, that's some sort of write off, fake injury there, where he's not going to be out. He'll be out for whatever, and I don't know when we're going to see him again because he A dropped the title and B got just fucking destroyed. So it's like, okay, that's a wrestling storyline. That's nothing to do but just wrestling. He's gonna go do something else. He wants time off. He wants this, that, or this is when you hand over a belt and a briefcase, and you go, I'm going away for a while. Well, what are you doing? I'm pregnant. What? What? And then you see all the people there. I think there was two other the chicks there too, and they're just like super excited for her or whatever. And it's like, well, that's cool. Those moments just don't happen enough.
Well, and that's why I was so intrigued with the Attitude Era is because you know, and I've said it before, the storylines were intertwined and everything else, and there were certain times, of course, you could tell when you know Rock was going off to make a movie.
Hmm.
They didn't like keep some of that stuff a surprise,
Yeah.
but it wasn't your typical okay, get your ass beat to a bloody pulp, which they overdo consistently. Uh, but then there's times in which a lot of times when you would see somebody gone for an extended period of time, it wasn't because they were going to do something else. It was because of legit injury,
Hmm.
and you would find out later. It's some of the injuries during that time frame in which guys were out for months were like holy shit, and you'd see updates and things along those lines and future uh, broadcasts and everything else. So I mean you knew shit was legitimate, but at the same time it wasn't always predictable of what was going to happen. Every once in a while you could kind of, like I said, you could kind of figure it out. The creativity was there. You had multiple storylines intertwined at the same time. Now it seems like it's almost overly scripted.
Hmm.
And if you've watched wrestling enough over the years, it's like, okay, I can see where this is going. It's no different than watching a crime drama or watching a movie, and things get too predictable, and
Hmm.
when that happens it takes away from the fun of watching something. I mean, you watch something because you're intrigued, you want to watch it, you want to see what happens next. It's no different TV show, movie, wrestling, whatever. But there's a problem when you can sit there and start watching and go, okay, well, yep, this is what's going to happen. Oh, yep, this is what's going to happen, or a version of this. It takes away from the enjoyment, and that's a lot of the reason why I really stopped watching stuff. To be brutally honest, I stopped watching shows. Uh, I still watch. I'll watch movies, but there's a lot of the newer stuff I don't care to watch. I'll stick with the stuff that I enjoy watching because although I know it, and I could probably quote half the watch stuff that consistently goes what's going to happen next. And it just takes away from the enjoyment.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Movies, I really don't care about anything that comes out. Shows, it's the same thing. I'm watching the same five shows. I can watch Simpsons and just laugh at the same joke I've laughed at like 100 times and still laugh as heartily as I did before. But yeah, just anything entertainment wise is pretty much. Let's talk a little collecting and investing. Little bit anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't. We probably won't be able to get into the depths of this.
Yeah, I use the fancy photo for the whatever thumbnail. Just the arrows going down and up and whatever. That took all of like 3 minutes to find on Google Images. And I don't even know if we have a dearth of people here anymore. The numbers have dropped a bit, but
Well, it is getting later, which typically we start seeing a reduction.
yeah. For you, is there a difference? Or is there a true difference with investing versus collecting? And again, I think we know the answers to each other, but
Well, it depends. Do you want to play devil's advocate?
Sure.
No, I'm not going to do that. So there is a difference depending on how you want to look at this. So if you want to, maybe this should say collecting versus investing / flipping, or collecting versus investing versus flipping, because those that are flippers are typically investors. It's the quick buck.
Mm-hmm.
However, as a collector, and you have personal collections and things along those lines, whether it be player, team, whatever, you are technically an investor. Because at some point, somebody's going to end up doing something with it once you kick the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So to a certain degree, it is an investment. We do it now, though, because we enjoy the hobby. We are collectors. We do have a long-term vision. Okay. My opinion, me, I've always enjoyed collecting cards for as long as I can remember. 5 years old. It's been an enjoyment of mine. It has been a hobby. However, as I got older, I realized that I drink a crap ton of this. Believe it or not. I've had enough of beer. And I've only had 3. Typically I have 4 during the podcast, but it's one of those in which I feel like I've had enough. I've always done it with something in my mind from a future perspective. I always thought that I would have kids, things along those lines. At some point, that collection would go to my kids. And at that point, like I said, I'm 6 feet underground. What they do with it, I don't care. I have no say, so to speak. I mean, I guess I could put it in my will stating that, my kids get my collection, and it's my expectation is that they keep it and pass it on or whatever. But, let's be realistic here, folks. Money talks. And so from that perspective, as a collector, to me, the biggest difference is we are long-term investors. Okay. When I think of investing in the topics of the hobby, so to speak, I think of those individuals that are, and they could be long-term investors. Let's be realistic. It's possible. They could have been doing this for years. But typically, it's the short game for them. It's speculation on X subset players, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, it doesn't matter. And watching the market go up, go down, the fluctuations, everything else, and paying so close or paying such a close attention to statistics and stuff along those lines that dictate value, that they turn around and taking a chance and buying a position of said player with the intent of selling it for a profit. That is investing. It's no different than buying stocks. It's the same thing. People buy stocks with the expectation of low buy price, but being able to turn around, of course, and sell it for a profit. So it's no different in the card world. But to a certain degree, as a whole, we are all technically investors. We're not all about the short game. This is long term. And we do it because we love it. So there's that. That's the difference. We may be long term investors if you really look at the definition of a lot of this stuff. However, we do it still because we enjoy it.
Hmm.
We're not out to make a quick buck. That doesn't mean that we won't in certain situations, but that's not always at the front of our minds. That's not what we're ultimately about. It's not the priority. It's we do it because we enjoy it and it's what we want to do. But in the end, to a certain degree, when we're all gone, and depending on what happens, usually the collection's going to get sold, unless your children, nephews, nieces, if you don't have kids, whatever
Hmm.
that you leave said collection to, and there's an interest in the hobby, then there's that possibility that something could continue to be carried on. But that's me personally. I'm interested to actually see what other people have to say. Dave, thoughts?
You said it probably best. Where again, we're for us, it's not all about the short. We're not in it for 6 months. We're not in it for a year. There may be some, let's say we picked up Acuna stuff, dirt cheap. We picked up the bat down. Let's say we picked up a PSA 10, $20 right out of the gate. Picked up, let's say, 8 of them. We're just like, we like this card. Think he's going to be a decent player. I'm a Braves fan, whatever. Then those go up to whatever the top of the heap was for a PSA 10. I think they're close, probably to 800, maybe a grand, maybe over. I don't know because that's not my market. In that regard, again, if it's not a finite amount of cards. I'm more apt to selling them just because if the buy-in was so low, and again, the jump in what the going rate is has superseded any expectations I ever dreamt of. At that point, it'd be foolhardy for us not to move some of that stuff. But at the same time, if you're buying a bat down PSA 10 Acuna, let's say for 450, within the month it's up to like 650, and you flip it then, yeah, that's great that you made a profit. At the same time, you bought in so late that you were already buying into hype and you were not on the initial like stop on the hype train. You got in like 15 stops down the road and got off like 5 stops later. I'm not a fan of that. I mean it's good for the people that want to do it because obviously those people aren't true collectors. I'll throw that out there because if that's what you're buying in on a tops card for 450 and then selling a tops card for 650, you're you're not collecting, again, my vantage point, my opinion, for the right reasons. You're the flipping investing is taking precedent to what a true collector should be. A lot of the stuff I collect, I know has zero value to probably anyone else outside of these players' families, maybe high school coaches or neighbors, their kids. And even that, I mean, they're There's some stuff with Johnson. It's got Verlander on it or Adam Wainwright. That may be a little more valuable, but straight Josh Johnson stuff, that's, unless the two kids want it, it's probably one of the most ludicrous amounts of money spent on cards ever for the return that would be had if I were to be like, I need to sell them, I need to get a good return. I wouldn't get a fifth of what I put into it. But again, that's not why I collect. If I wanted to buy stuff and flip it, I would buy stocks. I wouldn't buy cards.
We'll see, and that's the thing. That's the other difference. Us being collectors, we're not looking at what's the hottest thing now. There's a focal point, which is what differentiates us from an investor flipper. I didn't think Terrell Davis would make the Hall of Fame. I was hoping that he would. I mean, his playoff career spoke for itself, and I always felt that he deserved it. But, that's not always the case. I collected his stuff because I enjoyed watching him play. I enjoyed what he brought to the team, and he's one of the big reasons as to why Denver was able to win back-to-back Super Bowls. They didn't have a running game in years past. When you put all the pressure on the passing game, things can happen. You just don't know. Nowadays, it's different. It's all about the freaking passing game. But, in that time frame, the running game was still a big part of the game. And with him coming to the team and performing like he did, he's a big reason as to why Denver won back-to-back Super Bowls. And I will argue that until I'm blue in the face. But I didn't do it. I didn't select him as a basis because of the return on investment. That was never the reason. Even though as a collector, still being a long-term investor, so to speak, that wasn't my mindset. Now, on the flip side, if I look at my set collection, that was really more the investment. Because I didn't bank on Terrell Davis winning 2 Super Bowls. I didn't bank on him rushing for 2,000 yards. I didn't bank on him being an MVP. I didn't bank on him being a Super Bowl MVP. I didn't bank on him making the Hall of Fame. So that was just me being a collector. My sets, however, from a rookie perspective, that was an investment. But it's the long-term investment. Which, in certain situations, that's why I can somewhat argue that as a collector, we are still a long-term investor. We're not out about the quick buck, normally. Now, if, like you said, if you bought into a position early on because you liked a card for whatever reason, let's say it wasn't really PC, but you liked the card, you liked the player, whatever. There's nothing wrong with making a quick buck. Nobody ever said there's nothing wrong with making a quick buck by any stretch of the imagination. But, because 2020 is so odd, every time you turn around, there's 15 million different channels about, what am I buying now? And like I always said, I almost consider it insider trading. You got people sitting there putting out there, this is what I'm investing in. These are the players that I'm buying, and pumping the market with that information. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden, Oh, shit starts to spike because guy A is talking about this card. Now all of a sudden there's a run on said cards. We've had this conversation before. It's no different with Magic the Gathering cards.
Mm-hmm.
People start recognizing they're buying out a position of a said card, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, here comes everybody else doing the same thing. It's people focusing on the incorrect things from a hobby perspective. If you want to be an investor flipper, fine. They have a place. I mean, they have a place, but at the same time, a few bad investments, they're going to disappear. It's going to happen for whatever reason. Their hot stock tip for the day or the month backfires. So it's going to happen. And Ed, hey, like I said, there is nothing wrong with that at all. It's one of those in which if you have opportunities to do something like that and reinvest in something that you want, that's truly for your collection, by all means, take advantage of it.
And that's on a lot of Facebook groups the last how many years. That's what I've done. It's not been like, oh, I know I'm going to get a good return on this. It's like, well, again, you sort of look at the situation like with Siakam. I'm like, Raptors have a pretty good track record of developing these sort of foreign players that aren't really widely known. I mean, even if he's not going to be a fucking superstar, hey, there's a chance that my $10 purchase, a couple of years, if he does well, he's a 6 man, averages like 12 and 8 and maybe like 3 blocks. That'll give me $50 maybe. Well, those paid off in spades or whatever the saying is. It paid off huge. And again, and that's because this market with basketball is so absolutely asinine right now that people are willing to pay that. And again, if somebody's willing to pay a stupid number and you've got something um, that you're not dead set attached to, and again, the 101s, the 5s to 10s, and if it's something that's like 20 years old, that's where you hesitate. But if somebody's offering you for 100 and they're offering you like $2,000, and it's just not to say he's a bad player, but let's say like a Carl Pickens. Let's say somebody's offering you $2,000 for a Carl Pickens 101. If I'm the Carl Pickens super collector, I have a hard time turning that down.
Yep.
Even like Johnson, if somebody offered me like I said, I wouldn't get 5-10 million, but I know what I've put into some of my higher end stuff. If they offer me 5 to 10 times that, more towards the 10 times mark, I'd be hard pressed to say, you know what? I spent 150 on this. I don't want your 1,500. Like, no, because it's just right now. It's the nature of the beast. Everybody thinks because they've been in this hobby for the last year, 6 months to a year, because they've somehow tapped into the algorithm of like I see the same names, the flipper, dealer, sports card investor, whatever crap. Everybody has that, so they get into the algorithm. So their shit gets in these feeds, even if you're not subscribed to
Yep.
them. The recommended bullshit. It's all these
And
fuckers. Then you have graphics, editing, in or overlays with stuff. It's like no, just because you've got that doesn't mean you're fucking smart. You may even be able to edit videos, but guess what? You don't fucking have a clue about the industry.
Yep.
And
And
that's where I get so fucking wound up, because it's the same shit that people buy into. The Gary V's and all his legions of cronies and fucking pumpers and dumpers. All these other idiots. It's like, I don't care about any of the analytical tools that tell me the Juan Soto Chrome went from 125 to 330. Now it's down to 285. I don't give a fuck. I like Juan Soto. If you like Juan Soto and you fucking see, oh, he's a batting title. He's won a championship with the Washington last year. Sure, they sucked ass this year, but fucking 2020 should be wiped off the map. Just say, okay, he did well. Team sucked. Doesn't matter. But they're going. His stuff is going down. Why? It's stupid people in the fucking hobby that have been here the last year or so, and they're just stupid motherfuckers that are just ruining shit. And those are the people. Those are the investing people. Those are the flipping dipshits. Fuck them. Get them on a bus, put them on one of those fucking roads in India, and push it off the road that's 2,000 feet above the river basin or whatever. They should not be allowed to speak about cards and investing and market analytics. Go back to the sneaker game or fucking gambling at the casino. Just get the hell out of the hobby and stop ruining it and stop fucking jacking all the retail so regular schlubs can't even fucking bust a box with their kids. I want to. Naomi's like, where's baseball cards? And fuck, good luck.
Right?
I'm like, I'm not
But
spending a ton on fucking eBay for some blaster. I'm not spending over $20. Why would I do that?
exactly. Well, and on the flip side, it's no different. We're you kind of getting into the whole finance type picture here, but
Mm-hmm.
MTG Finance, gets a bad rep too because they do the same thing. They look at the analytics of said certain cards and the peaks and the valleys and everything else, and depending on the followers and the people who watch that stuff, it's like, okay, well, this specific card has major peaks and valleys. If it's at an extreme low, then I'm going to add to my position, so to speak, in order to then turn around and flip it for a profit. It's this is not the stock market. Now, I'm not saying that as an individual you shouldn't expand your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Cards are a good long-term investment if you do it right. It's not the pumping and dumping like you always allude to, but if you want to expand your portfolio, silver, gold, stocks, bonds, IRAs, cardboard, uh, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But typically, when you think of investing, it's supposed to be long term. Investing is never supposed to be a short term thing, ever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. It's no different. When you invest in your 401k, you're not going to turn around a few years from now and be like, "Oh shit, I got 30 grand in there. Well, let's just wipe the fucker out." No, you don't do that. It's no different than your IRAs and stuff along those lines. So, to a certain degree, having collectibles as part of your portfolio is not a bad thing if you're doing it for the right reasons. It's, the pumping, dumping, or, trying to sit there and be like, like Ed was alluding to, pumping these guys' names out there or whatever in hopes that because they have a substantial position in said player, that all of a sudden it's going to make a change and they're going to make a quick buck, because a lot of that is what they're ultimately doing. They're trying to create that stigma of, because I have a following, invest now in said players because of whatever reason, whatever they're trying to pawn off that level of knowledge in hopes for them to be able to cash out their position. That's what that is. It's not because they're really trying to give stock tips. It's they probably have a substantial position in said players for whatever reason. It didn't pan out in their investment strategy. And now, okay, I've invested X amount of money. How can I try and fix that?
Yeah, and again, it used to always be this, or it used to just be the Bowman. When Bowman would come out or Bowman draft, people go bonkers for whatever prospect in there. Now, and I got that. I got, okay. That's where I want to jump in and be like, I want to pick up the Tatis Jr. I want to pick up the Boba Check or whatever. But now, when you have tops cards, just tops rookies, and again, nobody talked about the 2016 Boba Fett Bowman Chrome draft. It's all about the Boba Fett 2020 tops.
We know what you mean, Ed.
Yeah, come on now. We mean
We get,
Puddinhead.
we got you covered. We knew what you meant.
It's odd how, again, it's 2020 though, so brainwashing and the sleight of hand. That's what always seems to be taking place. I mean, it's very easy because there's so much inbreeding in this world that the brain power is not there anymore. People are very easily fooled when people go and say, buy Jordan Alvarez tops. Well, he's got a Bowman Chrome auto or whatever. Well, that's not his real rookie card. His real rookie is the tops. That's got the rookie logo. Well, no, you fuckstick. That the Bowman Chrome, that's before Major League Baseball and the card companies decided to get the stupid little rookie logo there. That was the measuring stick for rookies. And because you haven't been in this hobby for more than 2 weeks, you think that because a little fucking rookie card logo on tops means that's king. It's nice. I always like a nice flagship rookie because they're clean. It's tops. They've been around forever. That's not the creme de la creme. That's not the top of the mountain. But these people have been in here for 3 weeks, and the people that are in here for 2 weeks listen to them because they've got 83,000 followers, Patreon channels, Discord channels, this and that, and whatever else. It's like, that's another one I don't understand. Again, harkening back to the Randy Marsh in the basement at the computer, why people do that to themselves all over Prism. Prism is a nice looking product. It is not 93 finest refractors out of baseball. If I can get a Frank Thomas 93 finest refractor for 800, or I can buy a Lionel Messi Prism PSA 10 for 4,500, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just too hard of a decision. It, 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 it it'll always boggle my mind because, again, whether it's the generational inbreeding or the drinking,
I'm sorry, Dave. That's good.
the tainted well water. I mean, I don't know if they eat out of dumpsters. I don't know where it's like salmonella in the food and they've got tapeworm or ringworm or I don't know. It just how you can't process. And again, I get if they haven't been in the hobby for more than 20 minutes, that's great. Yeah, you sort of have an excuse, but at the same time, you can't just blindly follow these people that have no clue. If you have sports card investor in your name for YouTube or Instagram or wherever, nope, that should be like a red flag. That should be very like, oh boy, he's really putting himself out there like he's an investor. But I would rather go through and look for people that, hey, here's some other stuff I got, or here's like this I got. Maybe I don't want to have invest in the guy that's got all the Acuñas or whatever, because guess what? He's going to sell them quicker than I can get them in, and then by the time I get them, that market's going to soften. But people don't think like that.
Well, and the only thing that I could think of, keep me honest, 2014 was the first year, though, of Prism. Yes?
Yeah, it's got to be, yeah.
So from that perspective, it would be his rookie card pertaining to Prism. However, we all know that that's not the case. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. But I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to the soccer stuff, even though I played soccer most of my childhood. But it's one of those. Okay, so Ed confirmed with you, Dave. I can't keep up with products anymore these days. But from that perspective, so it would be his first Prism card. So I can I can see the collectability aspect of it. It's no different than, somebody's first Topps card. I mean, it's not the same concept, but look at the 2002 Topps Chrome Tom Brady, graded PSA 10. It's his first Topps Chrome card. It ain't $4,500, but you're still going to pay a pretty penny for it. That a lot of that stuff is what I'm not fully understanding of why the increased value, because it's a fucking base card, folks. Base cards are meant to be cheap. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but base cards are meant to be cheap. Only your superstar players typically get a bump in said value, so to speak. Basketball, you're like your LeBron James, your Durant's, that type of stuff. Football, you're talking Mahomes outside of his rookie year, Aaron Rodgers, Roethlisberger, maybe. I'm just throwing out superstar names. Baseball, you should have, like your Kershaw's and, other folks, not your rookies and stuff along those lines. But to focus on something that's a first issue of said product, I mean, I get the collectability, but at the same time, it's a fucking base card. It's not a rookie. I mean, I can't remember the last time I looked at 2002 Topps Chrome Brady. But the last time I looked, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Ungraded copies, $40-$50, I think, was what it was a few weeks back. Graded copies, $700-$800. Are you fucking kidding me? Help me understand how that is even a freaking thing. Anybody? Dave? Anybody in the comments? I mean, what am I missing here?
It used to be where like the either the first cup, like even not the first cup, but the initial offerings of the cup, exquisite, NT. Those used to be fairly solid seller cards too. Again, I haven't looked at that market in years. I, ca- if I look up like the it's oh 05 or oh 06, the first, it must have been oh 05, first year for exquisite. If I
Yep,
look
oh
that up,
05.
that Tom Brady isn't like $300. If it's like 100, and you say that O2 Topps Chrome is like 50, I'm gonna kick somebody in the nuts. That's fucking. You have I think, was it 150 or 250 for the base cards? I think 150.
Don't get me to lying, but it's 150, maybe 199, somewhere in that vicinity.
So you have that amount of base cards from another iconic set.
Yep.
Yes, Topps Chrome is iconic. I will give them that.
But finite amount of copies.
You know there's only 150 to 200 of those, whatever the serial numbering is. Topps Chrome, on the other hand, who knows?
Yep.
Because you're not going to get a straight answer from Topps. You know that. So,
No. In
and
boxes, 2002 Topps Chrome boxes are selling for hundreds of dollars. And it has nothing to do with that great rookie class either.
no,
It People are chasing the Tom Brady base freaking first Topps Chrome issue.
hmm
And he has two. He has the base and then he has another one in the base set or whatever. That one
all
is nowhere
pro
near the regular. Do what?
an all pro or something like
Yeah,
that.
something along those lines. But I just I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, to a certain degree, I guess I do. I guess I'm being a little off base. I understand the collectability part of it. If that's a focal point for somebody, but why would Tom Brady's first Topps Chrome card be so highly sought after over somebody else, for instance, that may have been a rookie in 99, 2000, 2001, but for whatever reason, they didn't issue a rookie card in Topps Chrome at that time. And their first card was then produced in, '02 or '03, for instance. I mean, I understand the popularity of Brady. I get it, but and it's not just Brady, for instance. It's no different with Messi. I get it. The first year of Prism, it's not a rookie card. It's the first year that Prism came out for all brands from a production perspective, is it not? Or did Prism come out earlier for football? I can't even remember when it first came out.
Baseball, I think, was 12. I think Prism came out 12. Because it was 12, 13 for
Okay.
them. And then baseball, football, I don't remember. I don't, yeah, Doug Martin have a Prism? I think Dougie had a So that might have been 12 for football too.
See, and like I said, I lose track of all the newer shit these days. It just it doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-mm.
It makes no sense to me.
No, and even if you put again, it's not a apples comparison, but you have the Brady second year, second, third year Chrome. You put that up against '01 LT Chrome rookie, you're still paying more for the Brady.
Yep.
And LT wasn't a schlub. He's a Hall of Fame running back with a great career.
You're paying
And
more
a
than you would
final,
for a Vic,
yeah,
you
and
know,
that's a
and
final number of those because I think what those are 9.99.
yeah, those are serial numbers.
So again, I
Well, and you got a graded copy going close to what a freaking Breeze sells for.
mhm.
I that is something that I can never fully understand. You know, it's and keep me honest here, Dave. There was a time in which the Beckett would notate if it was somebody's like first tops card or first tops chrome card in
I
the
believe
Beckett.
the only thing I can say though, it wasn't like it happened a ton.
Correct. It
So this was
was yeah, it
every
was the
year.
rare moments.
But yeah,
But if memory serves me right, I remember certain notations. But it would have been those situations in which it would have been like a late pick in the draft or an undrafted free agent type signing situation in which
yeah,
something like that would take place. I mean, because you look at TD,
yep.
96 was his first Topps card,
Hmm.
his first Topps Chrome card. Because outside of, signature rookies and, the freaking multi sport type products, he wasn't released as a rookie until later products
Hmm.
because of the release schedule. So why is it, that Terrell Davis's 96 tops or tops chrome, which would be his first issue, be 50, $60, a couple
Hmm.
$100 in a graded PSA 10 copy? He's in the Hall of Fame right now. He's not the GOAT,
Yeah.
but I mean, he did rush for 2,000 yards. There still are only a small handful of people who have done that. So it's not like he's a schlub,
Hmm.
but, why isn't the same apply for him? Is it because he's no longer playing? Is that because, as you said, from a 2020 perspective, people are only focusing on shit that's happening now? I mean, what is it? I just
It's
it blows my mind.
and when you have all these other with the guys switching teams, I don't even want to see Brady's fucking football cards, the Panini shit in the Tampa Bay. I haven't looked at anything. I haven't looked at like I don't know who's got it. Like a Donruss maybe had it or a playoff. Um, but like an NT, like I don't want to see like a base Brady sell for whatever it's going to sell for because he's a Tampa Bay uniform. Who cares? That's the thing with LeBron. I will not understand. I will not fucking put more money into because okay, LeBron's not in his Cleveland union. He's in Miami or his Lakers one. again, I get the appeal that they're cool because again, their first card, and if you're a Lakers fan or a LeBron fan, great. But that shouldn't be a premium unless it's noted, hey, these are an SP. This is an SP. It's not treated like every other card. It's maybe 1 per case.
Did you lose your train of thought there, Dave?
No, it's just I'll never understand the such excitement. Like let's say if Giannis goes to the Knicks or something, or he goes to the Heat. It's the speculation of that. It's like why should that um why should that card be so fucking desirable unless you're a fan of like the NBA? Oh, I like Giannis, he's pretty cool. I'll grab a Heat card or a whatever card. It shouldn't be more valuable, more desirable, to a degree more lucrative to get that card than like a hoops rookie of Giannis. Why? What? That's where the charlatans and the blind leading the blind and the generational inbreeding have taken their toll in the hobby. It's just nonsensical where people can't think for themselves. And I don't need you to do deep dives of like months of like going into information and analytics and looking at this and that and whatever else, but think for yourself. Go to eBay. I mean, that's not the greatest, but at least you're going to get some sort of barometer instead of Gary Vee said, get this guy. I'm going to buy Nolan Arenado. Then the market fucking falls out on him because he had a horse shit year. So, I don't know. That's a topic we'll get into, I know, a lot more in other episodes just because it's a topic you could sit there and talk for hours. Yeah,
Well, and on the flip side, though, certain teams have a higher collectability than others.
well, yeah, I get that too. I mean, yeah, Yankee stuff sells well, Lakers stuff sells well, Cowboy stuff sells well, but it shouldn't be. Hey, there's an LT rookie. Well, there's a Zeke Elliott base Panini Prism card. There's an LT Topps Heritage number to like 1953 or whatever it was. PSA 10. That's 150. Zeke is 800. What?
Yep.
No, no, that's absurd.
No, I'm right there with you. It everything is like flipped upside down.
Yeah, where you think, again, we've said it too before, serial numbering shouldn't always determine value. But when card companies don't give you print runs for base rookies and a base rookie has a serial numbered finite print run, that there should not be such a discrepancy in the prices that we're seeing now. But again, blind leading the blind.
That is 100% true. Absolutely.
So we've crossed that 3 hour threshold.
Like we always do.
Yeah, it's always the
It's like
finish.
clockwork.
Yeah, the finish line, but you never know how far we'll get past it. But I think we've beaten that into the ground as much as we can. Again, I had a couple other things, but again, that can be
There's
turned.
always next week.
Yeah, that yeah, it's one of the topics I really do want to get into, but we can encompass that with like the community aspect too, and because again, these flippers just don't seem to be part of the community. It's everybody's in for whatever, they're in for themselves, or
Yep. No. I actually ate dinner earlier. I ate dinner before the podcast. Thanks for asking, though.
so yeah, I think we'll cut it off there and leave
Yeah,
everybody.
Dave had his chicken fingers and fries.
I've got, like I said, I've got, what is it, Tyson? I think it's called Southern Fried Chicken Tenders. Your local
We've had those.
in your freezer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we've had
bake
those
some
here.
of those up. I've got hoagie buns. I'm gonna toast that with super hot pepper jack, and then put that on a sandwich. And I don't know what I'm gonna have for like a sauce, but I'm just jonesing for those so much. But that's not gonna be tonight because work comes in about 5 hours, I think.
Well, so it's October. This is about the time they usually bring it back. Select locations, though.
Yeah.
We usually always watch for the ads here because I get mine with no onions. To me, it ruins it, but I'll keep the pickles on it. It just kind of adds a little bit of extra twang. So I'm hoping that we've got, I think, 3 McDonald's within like a 6-mile radius of where we live, which is just stupid. Hopefully, it'll come back.
Yeah, it's
At
usually
least to one.
beginning of November.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say I got a little bit of a smile out of that one.
Those are good. Again, we up here we don't have any of that shit. I think the nearest Chick-fil-A is in the Twin Cities. I don't even know where a Popeyes would be. That may be one down there, but that, and then you have to go to Wisconsin or Iowa. And
Buy both.
but I gave reasons if you wanted one or the other.
No,
But
I mean, you were constructive on both sides. I mean, it's, you weren't swaying anybody one way or the other, but I had a feeling it was one of those in which I'm sitting there going, okay, I have a feeling he's going to sit there and say, you know what, buy both of them.
that was
Oh,
last
yeah.
week. Chick-fil-A was down in, I think they just opened up in that Appleton one that we went to. My brother was like, fuck, you'd have people, they had traffic cops there trying to determine, but they had the best system or the best setup for the drive-through because there's no indoor eating there. They had like people sitting out on tablets, getting your order, zipping it through, getting the card, and I mean, it was fuck. I was impressed with that shit.
Oh, they had their system down, man.
And I told my brother, I'm like, I could fucking eat this every day. It wouldn't even. Chicken sandwiches that are spicy, that's just a disaster. I love those just so much. If that, like I said, if that Chick-fil-A sandwich was as big as the Popeyes, I'd start making the casket now. Noah doesn't have to, Noah doesn't have to worry about the ark and build that for the people. Build a casket big enough for my fat ass to put in the ground.
Dude.
Just, oh, so good.
Yeah, our Chick-fil-A, I think now has been there for a little over 2 years. But I remember the grand opening. It was bonkers. And something that people may or may not know about Chick-fil-A, they are all franchise, and there has to be a certain number of rooftops in the area before they will allow you to open one. And the only reason why I know that is one of my coworkers was looking at buying into a franchise and having the conversations and everything else. They want you to be successful first and foremost. I mean, it's a substantial investment. But he found out that there has to be a certain number of rooftops in the area for them to even allow you to open one. And as an owner, as a franchise owner, you have to work in the restaurant for at least a year. That's their requirements.
I don't mind that. I'd get some sweat equity into it.
Well, it's one of those of which so you can fully understand what goes into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't own something without getting your hands dirty. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. Blood, sweat, and tears, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, if we had more stuff up here like that, I'd do more of those videos like a Chipotle or something like that with do that versus like a Taco Bell gordita wrap or whatever, but there's nothing up here like that. It's fucking a barren wasteland for delicious delicacies like that.
Arby's curly fries. Oh man. And just give me a regular roast beef with frickin' Arby's sauce. I'm in heaven. Fuck the beef and cheddar.
I'm not. Yeah, regular roast beef.
Anybody remember the Big Montana from Arby's?
No, because I don't think we had it up here. There's one in Virginia, but it used to be the Hardee's, then it changed to an Arby's, and then they built a Hardee's like just down the road from where the Hardee's was at.
No, the Big Montana was an item at Arby's. It was 1 pound of roast beef on a bigger bun. They put it came in a plastic container that was like yay big.
Mm-hmm.
So the bun was a little bit bigger. It was freaking a pound of roast beef. Holy shit, that was a lot of meat. I don't remember Roy Rogers. It must be something in y'all's neck of the woods. Because there are regional restaurants. We all know this.
I think that was a national, but it wasn't like overdone national. Because I want to say there's some out west too, but they went tits up, I think, mid 2000s, maybe mid early 2000s.
Never saw one.
It's sort of like like a family restaurant, sort of. I don't even know how. Maybe like an Outback Steakhouse, but not as glitzy with the advertising and all that stuff.
Yeah, never saw one.
We didn't have one up here. Shocking, I know, but
well, where I live, we have more fast food joints than what we do anything else, and we have two Mexican food places. We have like a burger joint. What else? Panera Bread, I think, is another one. But most of it, it's all fucking fast food. Chick-fil-A, McDonald's. Like I said, we have 3 McDonald's within a matter of 5 or 6 miles of each other, one each way on the highway that we live off of. We've got Taco Bell, Taco Bueno. We've got a Burger King, Whataburger, but it's all fucking fast food shit. I want some sit-down restaurants. Mm-hmm. Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Outback, something.
Yeah, there's a lot of that up here. We got probably a 50-50 mix. I like going to those old like mom and pop diners. There's one in Superior, stomping grounds in Wisconsin, right across from the Duluth. Just a greasy old joint that still for like I think it was $10. Hot roast beef or hot beef and well hot roast beef as well. Sandwich. It's like in the big platter. So you get the two pieces of bread, the huge scoop of mashed potatoes, and both pieces of bread have like a ton of roast beef just destroyed with gravy. I'm a very slow eater. Ask Micah anytime you see him on here. I fucking take my time. I get that thing delivered to me. It's not 5 minutes that I'm done. And I mean, it's a healthy, it's not just like a little portion, it's a healthy platter. Like you'd serve a Thanksgiving turkey, a smaller one on there, and I'm just, just destroy it. Even my mom's like, you ate that faster than anything I've ever seen. And we, when we went down to Appleton, we got it, or I got it, and when we came back, I got it. And same thing. It's just like that is the one thing I will get from there pretty much all the time because it's the best hot beef sandwich I've ever had. By far.
Vinny said he flash freezes some Popeyes.
Oh, don't tempt me. I I've told my brother, I'm like, if I ever get down that way and stay down there, it's not going to be good.
I need to find a new contact in Colorado. I need Terrell Davis barbecue sauce.
How many flavors does he have? Because he can't just
Two.
have like one. I was gonna
He
say,
has two. He has regular and a spicy. And that shit is so fucking good. But you can't buy it on Amazon. You can't
I
you
wish I knew
can't
like
buy it.
a couple of weeks ago. I just had a guy, the gourmet foods guy. He just went on a vacation out to Colorado and Wyoming. He
Yeah,
said
you can't buy it through his TD Foods anymore. It's they have like shut that shit down to where it's unless you live there, unless he stopped manufacturing it, which is possible. I mean, that's always a possibility. But I need some, and I want some really bad. I mean, I don't know why it's so different, but I mean, it shit is good, and the spicy is just enough kick. Man, I have two old bottles in my office because it's Terrell Davis, and so they're still full, but they're a little out of date. I don't think I can use those.
yeah. If you tried to use them, you'd probably be in the crapper for quite a while.
That'd be a guarantee. That would be a guarantee.
So on that note, I suppose blowing out your ass in the crapper for Will Davis barbecue sauce.
It's a great way to end.
Good as any other way, I suppose. Hope everybody enjoyed it tonight. Of course, per our usual, you get sidetracked. Um, I don't think Detroit's gonna have a national. I think everybody get robbed there.
It's a little biased.
Detroit hasn't made a economic recovery since what they went under in uh, the mid to late 2000s, I think. It's been a struggle over there.
Glad you
So
enjoyed it, Ed. That's why we do this.
yeah, I'll before we go, I'll say next year Chicago. I agree with Mark. I want it in Chicago basically all the time. It's a central location. You have a ton of well, I like that too. I don't know how many cards would be there, but it'd be just an amazing time. I won't say a lot of exercise, but there's a lot of waterfalls to look at, and
There you go.
I remember seeing nothing but boarded up everything for Detroit. So I guess if somebody wanted to bulldoze 2 to 5 city blocks, put up something there, I'm sure it cost them like $20.
We need
Some,
one down here south. Need one here in Texas.
and that's I'm shocked they haven't. Uh,
They've had them in years past.
yeah, I mean like early mid '90s,
Yeah.
but oh, they're not down there now with all the card companies there and the grading companies there. It's like, why don't you want something in your own backyard?
Yeah. Because you got Panini, Beckett, and Leaf all here.
BGS, yeah, they're there, and then where's PSA? Is that down there, or is that somewhere else?
I think they have facilities on both coasts, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that there's a PSA location here. I could be wrong, but I've never seen anything to PSA, so I don't know for sure. But I mean, your only football manufacturers here.
Hmm.
I mean, come on.
Have it at Jerry World. Yeah,
It'd be big enough.
I just don't want to go to any ranches down in Texas. I just have a feeling that would be a negative experience.
No, we'll stay in the city. We'll stay in the big city.
But like I said, Chicago, I can't wait for food. I've held off trying the deep dish pizza. I want to get Giordano's pizza in Chicago. And there's one other spot I think on Lake Street downtown that I want to get deep dish pizza. If that means missing some of the national to go eat, I'm fine with that. I I didn't get this big by eating saltines and the free bread they bring out to you. I I I, I just want to have a that sloppy. Why not, Mark? Come on.
Dave just wants to eat.
Yeah, the fattening tour needs to continue.
Ay, ay, ay. What? Okay, so I'm going to ask, what other podcast can you go to where we talk about investing, cards, all sports, to food, to wrestling? I mean, come on.
Nowhere. And the free advice we give. So
Well, yeah, because it's still free because nobody signed up for any of our memberships.
Mark, don't worry. I will try every pizza place in the town, or well, town city. I except like the national chains. I don't care about Papa Murphy's and Pizza Hut and
Some of the topics, man. This is why I love this. This is real.
I know you're down somewhere that way. I knew southern Wisconsin, right above Chicago, Beloit, one of those magnificent areas. But yeah, the pizza and burgers, those are the two joints I try to find out. 'Cause burger joints are just. It was a light one. It wasn't the usual Homer Simpson, Barney Gumble window
Yeah,
roll.
ever since I brought it up
Yeah,
3 or 4 episodes that he hadn't done it before, now there's at least one. There's at least one.
yeah, Portillo's. That's another. I think Ryan and them go to that. At least I remember hearing about that ages ago. Thin crust, though. I'm not a thin crust. Don't yawn.
Sorry.
That's somewhat contagious.
Well, it happens. When you start getting tired, you start getting tired, man.
I'm down with that. I can. They should fight for pizza.
Pizza's good.
Oh God, so good. Yeah, that's the one thing. Chicago, it's like I want to see people. I don't give a shit about cards, and I want to fucking eat. That's it. I don't.
Have a few cocktails, maybe, Dave?
We had some Saturday night, and it's probably some. It was a fruity tooty drink, but it went down like there was nothing in it at all.
Well, of course, that's why they do that, Dave.
The what was it? Bacardi lime. There, that's Bacardi lime. It was black cherry. It didn't say like what it was though. Black cherry and then Sprite. That was trouble. I'm like, I could probably drink 5 gallons of this stuff. I'd feel it, but I mean, it's so good, so good.
Stay away from the foo-foo crap.
I don't like beer. I'm not a beer guy.
I didn't say drink beer. Drink
If
you like a whiskey on the rocks, a whiskey and Coke, something to where you actually taste what you're drinking.
if I drink that, it's usually gin.
Ugh.
And then to try to get rid of the taste, I'll shoot it with vodka, and that never has ended up well for me.
That's your problem. Gin's like drinking alcohol, man. Ugh.
Pine needles.
Nope. Mm-mm.
No, what the hell is it called? It's like a boozy cherry limeade or something. And it again, I'd rather have something with a lot of alcohol in it where you can't taste the alcohol. It tastes like basically like a Kool-Aid or something. And when you
Yeah.
taste Kool-Aid, oh,
But that's dangerous.
I know.
That's dangerous.
I mean, I slammed it down. I'm like, ooh, that's good.
Can I have another? Actually, bring 2.
It's like 3 refills? Yeah, that's what I like because the other stuff I don't like nursing drinks. I'm not
Yeah.
like the parlor guy sitting in the corner and just observing and slowly sipping.
I mean, I guess I get that. Well, I wasn't going to go abomination, but it's atrocious. I would definitely agree with. Ugh. That's nope. If you want to, like clean out your esophagus or something, then okay, yeah, then by all means drink gin. But that's not pleasant.
No, I haven't had that for better part of a decade, probably over 10 years. But that used to be my go-to. Ghibli's gin, just a fucking scourge of the earth, cheap shit.
Oh, that's even worse, man. If you're like getting the low grade shit too. Oh,
Well, that was way back when. I mean, it's either you buy cards or you buy the expensive booze, or you buy the cheap booze with the you still can buy cards.
see, I stick with my beer typically, but every once in a while, and the only time I usually get it these days is so we have a specs here. I don't know if it's a national thing or anything. I've never had smoked cognac, but it's a I don't want to call it a discounted liquor store, but you sign up for reward points.
Oof.
And so my wife drinks Tawaka. She shoots it,
The
but
fuck
she's
is that?
all. It's a cognac.
Okay.
Uh, I think is actually what it's called. Uh, but so she'll buy that quite frequently. Sometimes she'll buy her wine there. Sometimes she'll buy my beer from there. But once she gets enough points, I get my free bottle of Maker's. I'm a Maker's Mark guy. I love Maker's Mark whiskey. Love it. It just so happens by the time podcasts come around, I usually don't have any left. So there will be at some point an episode that will be sponsored by Maker's Mark next time I get it. But I love it. It's the only whiskey that I have found in which I can drink it on the rocks, I can take it in a shot, or I can drink it mixed with Coke. And it's smooth. Yummy. Yummy, yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So now we're on the subject of alcohol. I mean, wow.
Well, go figure. It's probably the only thing we haven't covered tonight. For the most part.
I was going to say there's a lot of other things we could have talked about too in the process, but that's just what we happened to cover this evening.
I think I've had more. Again, I'll get shit. That's fine. The Mike's Hard Lemonade Black Cherry Lemonade, and then the Cranberry. Those are two that, again, I don't want to get shit faced, but again, it just feels good to just have a couple bottles of that a night or every so often.
Everybody has their preference. I can give you shit all day long, but that doesn't mean I'm really dogging you. It's one of those in which if you have a preference, people can give you shit about it all you want, all they want to, and I'll continue to do that. But it's no different. I'm still not gonna tell you what to drink. It's the same concept.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing with the drinking. It's a lot of I don't like the taste of beer. I mean, the one Labatt is one I don't mind, but I won't drink it a ton. I used to have Killian would be my beer 15 years ago, but I haven't had that in I don't even know probably 15 years. Just because beer, it's at the smell and then that taste. It just I'll drink it. I mean, if I get like 6 or 8 in me, I'm good. But
I'm
then you
still
then you
hoping. I'm still hoping somebody will ship me some Yingling. I still want to try it.
well, who Denny or Tom or Bob,
Ed,
Vinny,
Ed.
that way too, Ed.
Ed's in the Philly area.
Well, what kind of beer, Ed? That's the worst part. Is it just going to be all the American stuff like the
Well, I'm
Budweiser?
sure it'd probably be your Miller Lite, Bud Light. Yeah, I'm sure it would be that type of stuff.
Yeah, 'cause who gives a shit about that? They'll fucking sneak them in the goddamn duffel bag.
I know it is, Ed. That's why I'm saying something.
They're up in Wisconsin. I've seen Scotty tradition drink it. I've had it before. Is the spotted cow? People seem to love there. It's like as soon as you get into Superior and go to the Quick Trip, the gas station, you can buy that stuff like immediately. They got the walk-in coolers and 12 packs, 6 packs, 24 packs, 30 packs.
I had something in Canada. It's I tried two different kinds. Well, actually, I tried three kinds of beer. Uh, but the hotel we were staying at was there for 2 weeks. I started with Sapporo, Sapporo, and there's a lot of local type stuff up there. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was one that was called Big Rig, and that shit was pretty fucking good. And one cool thing about Canada, I don't know if we have any Canadians in here, something I didn't realize. When you order a beer at a restaurant or a place that serves beer, typically you get it in a monogrammed glass of said brand of beer that you order. So if you order a Coors Light, the glass will have Coors Light on it. If you order a Big Rig, it'll have the Big Rig emblem on it. If you order Miller Lite, I don't think they have Miller Lite out there. It's the coolest fucking thing. But you get a glass that is monogrammed with the brand of beer that you buy.
I like that. That's the way it should be done.
I just, we were at the airport and we got there early and we hadn't had lunch yet. So I don't even remember where the hell we went and ate for lunch. But we sat at the bar and we're like, fuck it. Let's have a beer. We got time. And you look at what they have on tap. It's usually their tap beers. It's not, if it's some random shit, then that may not be the case. But if you order something on tap, you get that monogram glass with the brand of beer that you ordered. I thought it was the freaking coolest thing. So you always knew what somebody was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of creative from the marketing or from the bartender's perspective. You don't have to ask, well, what were you drinking? If they're drinking beer, you look at the glass and be like, you want another? And if they say, yeah, you know exactly what the hell they want by looking at the glass.
Well, in certain states too, they don't have. We finally here in Minnesota got or relaxed the law or whatever it would be, um, selling it on the liquor store on Sundays. We had that for I don't know how many years. And again, it's not like people are going out and just ransacking the liquor stores on a Sunday, but it'd be nice to do that instead of, oh fuck, I forgot to get it Saturday night by 10, and so now I'm screwed because I didn't get it.
Yep, no liquor. We can't buy liquor on Sunday.
You
And
can't?
no liquor on Sunday.
Oh,
So liquor stores are closed on Sunday here. Uh, Thanks for
daycare.
hanging out as always, man. Uh, you can buy beer and wine on Sunday,
Hmm.
but it has to be afternoon, after
We
12
got,
p.m.
I think we had the grocery store. We got 3-2 beer alcohol content in there, and that's what we've got too. I think it's after 11 or afternoon. Which again,
Beer
it's
and Yeah, beer and wine is sold in the grocery stores now here. It used to not be. You would have to go to like a convenience store or go to the liquor store. But beer and wine is sold in the local grocery stores. The at 12 o'clock or the noon rule on Sunday for beer and wine doesn't count as if you're going to a restaurant and you order food, you can order a drink before noon. It's really weird. And you can buy liquor at a restaurant on a Sunday. So you can buy a mixed drink, but all liquor stores are closed.
God, I'm stunned that Texas would have that. That they wouldn't do it.
Dude, we're still in the middle of the Bible Belt down here, dude. Come on, really?
Texas.
Still part of the Bible Belt, I'm telling you. That's why they hadn't legalized pot yet, folks.
No, I know that. There. I mean, still though, I don't. You think Western? I know it's not the West, but I just preconceived notions.
It's going to happen. If they just decriminalize it on the federal level, states will follow.
Yeah,
But it's got to get to that point first.
and I don't know if we'll ever see that.
I think we will in our lifetime. Just because if you look at the states that have done it right, i.e., Colorado, the amount of money from taxes
Oh yeah,
is just freaking ridiculous. So if it's done right, then it's actually quite quite a good return. Just saying. Yeah, well, and I knew it was I knew it was illegal to ship. I I know of a situation in which an individual did ship some to an individual in Austin. Uh, so
huh.
it's a risk, and I'm not asking anybody to put forth a risk. So just saying, and I wouldn't task you to do something along those lines because of the fact that it is such a big deal. I need to find an opportunity to travel to Philly so I can actually have an opportunity to try it.
Those Amish are always breaking the laws.
Yeah, oh yeah. So you knew where I was going with that.
A little bit.
And I mean, it was only I think he sent him 2 or 3 or something, but even then, it's a substantial risk.
Yeah.
It's no different. I probably couldn't ship something local from here to somewhere else just because that's, I don't think it's just state regulations. I think there's even federal implications in some of that shit,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. Yep. They need to do it across the board. You'd get a lot of people out of jails. It would reduce some of the crowding for multiple weed offenses. I mean, it. The only issue is you're going to have both sides of every argument every time. Some people say it's not as bad as what people think it is, but when it's regulated, it changes the dynamic
Mm-hmm.
when you regulate something. Because then you enforce those regulations on the growers and all that and the stores and everything else to where, you know, it's not going to be the shit you get off the street.
No. No dime bags from your local corner dealer.
Yep.
I suppose since we've run the complete gamut now of everything.
Yeah. And now we're
Oh,
pushing 4 hours.
yeah. No, it's 4.5 hours till the alarm goes off.
Yuck.
And then snow is coming my way. I think
Fun.
tomorrow night or Thursday night. So
Fun.
highs in the low 40s, upper 30s. Yes. Love winter.
Yep. Sucks to be you.
Pretty much though. So thank you guys for sticking around.
There are none, Ed. That's why you guys come and hang out.
Yeah.
Because you never know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we've got topics, but usually they are secondary.
Yep. It's not the focus.
No.
You guys, to a certain degree, dictate sometimes what we talk about, which I know for a fact there is no other podcast that does that.
No. Not even close.
And I don't care if we get 50 viewers or 100 viewers in the future, it will not change.
Vinny, where you been? It's only 15 below. That's child's play. Up here, I think the coldest it's been that I've been in was with a wind chill that was 60 below zero.
And you stayed inside.
Yeah, I think school might have been canceled that day, but 96. So I think we all do.
It's good, guys. And that is no bullshit.
Yeah,
I was thoroughly impressed. And my wife still talks about it to this day that it sucks not having it.
that's child's play. That's southern part of the state. I get where it's more flat down there, but up here, oh, it's like 10 blankets and you're still fucking cold. You're just like, go away, everything. So can have like chicken noodle soup or wild rice soup or whatever vegetable soup, make that, and it's still you're like, oh, it feels good, and then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh,
Heater can't keep up.
no, that furnace is running nonstop, just constantly clicking it on.
Yeah, I'll pass.
So, he's Steve. You did it right. I'm Dave, and thank you guys for watching. Hope you join us next week for whatever we've got in store. And remember, building a collection, that's fun. Building friendships, that's what this hobby's really about. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, guys.